know everyone's liking this wipe, but just prepare for the complaint apocalypse. And I hate that because I'm like, of course I am. This game is getting closer and closer to like this most magical experience ever. These core things still suck dick. What do you want me to just be like, oh, they added vaulting. The game is perfect now. The AI is shit, and I'm going to keep talking about it. Before we hop in, I want to take a quick second and thank HelloFresh for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. HelloFresh can help you start your new year deliciously with meals like the Mushu pork bowls or the smothered pepper jack burgers, which are some that I've had recently that I've really enjoyed. You can use code PODCASTFREE for free breakfast for life at hellofresh.com/podcastfree. That is one breakfast item per box as long as your subscription is active. Thank you so much to HelloFresh for sponsoring this episode. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, a show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I am one of your co-hosts, Juicy Kazoom.
I am not Juicy Kazoom, but I am here with our homeboy, fantastic content creator, and just a all-around, I just want to say, a great friend. Geeks, how you doing, buddy?
Dude, I'm doing well. Thank you, dude. That's super kind of you to say, man. Thank you.
I don't want to make any presumptions. I like to think we are friends.
Of course we are. We shared a nice dinner together.
We did. Oh, that's right. We had a dinner date.
We did have a dinner date.
Yeah, what kind of place?
It was a Thai restaurant. It was like one of the best Thai restaurants in.
Yeah, dude. You sat on my lap.
Mm-hmm.
We did the whole.
You picked up the check, so I'm going to do that.
I did, yeah. But that was only because we did the noodle thing.
Oh, you did the Lady and the Tramp noodle thing, and I wasn't there.
He was the lady, and I was the tramp, if you know what I mean.
I felt so bad for you, Jesse. You had to leave at like 4 or 5 a.m. and we partied.
Oh my
pretty
God.
hard that night.
Okay, so that was that night. Yeah. So what we're talking about for the listeners is TwitchCon, which was when the three of us most recently saw each other, which was such a blast. I forgot. Me and Adam just stayed up all night. Literally, we were out at the casino till like 4 a.m. because our flight was at like 5. That was such a mistake. I don't want to leave that early next time. That was sad. Oh
no, the best thing was like leaving at like 11 p.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
On the next day, because then I could like get in at like 6 in the morning. I could like sleep overnight and just like reset.
Oh yeah.
And, yeah, it was pretty good.
Well, dude, geeks, how are you doing? We this is our first ever repeat guest. We had you on the podcast. We were just talking beforehand.
Oh, I'm the first two-time?
Wait, we already had him on here?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. Right? Get out of here.
I was saying, though, I was telling a story about how I was saying it earlier and I didn't know we were alive, so I'll tell it again, though. You guys got to tell people that. Is that the last time I came on here, I was having camera issues and I was miserable.
Yeah.
So I just I didn't talk really. I was in a grumpy mood. So I'm excited to come back and hopefully that was an OG time though. That was probably your first.
I was literally, dude, episode 32. How did you nail that? Episode 32. Oh yeah, my damn. God.
Now I'm going to be bringing that energy because I just spent 9 hours having no fun playing Arena, dude. 9 hours. And I swear to God, I had no fun.
Arena?
It's all because regular Tarkov is boring and Arena is actually fun unless you're stuck using a dog.
Yeah.
So like literally the first couple hours I was using there's a kit that has it's a pump action shotgun with AP 20, which you'd think would be like poggers, except like for some reason it's just broken. AP 20 just doesn't. First of all, it shoots like this. So like if you're actually shooting from far away, you need to aim at their waist if you want to hit a headshot. But there's something about that kit that makes it so that the Risti, Vulcan, and Alton guys are the only people you see, even though there's only one of them on a team of 5. They're the only people you see, like, and you just go boom, and they're just, and you just get mowed down.
Have you played Arena since it launched, geeks? We
No,
played
I
at
played it-
TwitchCon,
yeah,
which
we
is
played
like
at TwitchCon, and
yeah.
that's what I've played. Yeah, that's what I played. I don't like arena shooters. Like I
Okay.
don't find them fun, and I think them adding, I get why they added those mechanics to
Yeah.
the arena shooter. Like you can lose a leg, it just doesn't seem like that adds value where I'm like, this will be fun, let's do
Yeah.
that, let's lose a leg in arena style shooter. It just doesn't seem that fun. But I thought I heard, isn't this true that you were supposed to be able to bring kits from Tarkov into arena? So shouldn't you be able to use your regular kits?
There was a lot of stuff that was there was going to be connections between the two, and it was all nebulous without any sort of real defining
Yeah.
like no one knew, what it was going to be like.
Yeah.
At some point they're going to be connecting, like I think in the next patch they're going to be connecting the actual money between the two, which if that's all they do and they don't change anything else, all that means is that people will just lose their money in Tarkov.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's really two kinds of people. There are people that infinitely make money and people that infinitely lose money, and it really depends. There's like a couple set of rules as to like what your rating is, how good you are, who you play with, and what gear you use,
Yeah.
relation to like the other people you're matched against, whether or not you fall on either end of the spectrum.
I'm
But
really
I don't
sorry,
know.
Veritas. I'm really sorry to cut you off, but someone posted in chat. It's Skillet fan. I want to put this out into the nebula today because I feel like it's really important and it's based off of Tarkov. I'm really sorry, Veritas. I'm really sorry.
You should be super apologetic.
There is a clip now in Veritas' chat of us playing Streets today, right? We're playing Streets today, and since I've got back to Tarkov, I've been rusty. I'll be honest. I haven't played in over a year. I'm rusty. So what happened today was they're like, dude, you know what? Velian and Jesse are like these nimbly bimbly. Hey, go through this, do this in Streets, go here. Okay, cool. I'll follow you.
Oh my god.
This is something I'm sure I honest to God, 50% of the Tarkov player base doesn't know about. Is that jump is on release now. I didn't know that. I changed vaulting to another button, but I didn't know that jumps on release. So they were like, hey, jump through this window or you're going to hit a mine.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, sounds good. This should be easy. And my jumps have always felt off, but it was like enough of a lead up that I'm like, I got this.
Dude.
I'm so choked that I didn't know that. And I'm so
Dude.
happy.
Dude, I was dying, dude. I was freaking dying. And the audio is just literally Velian being like, you have to jump though, or else you're gonna hit a mine.
But be honest. It was in the patch notes, okay, but I didn't read the patch notes. I'm sorry. How am I supposed to know that it's on release and not press?
Yeah.
That is
That's how you know. You jump off into some claymores and then your friends go, "Oh, by the way."
Bro, if you didn't read that very specific patch note,
you're not hardcore.
Yeah. You are bad.
It
You
is.
should feel sorry and you should be ashamed.
But here's the thing. It's still like it messed me up because I was still jumping, obviously, right?
Yeah.
This whole time that I've been playing for like I've played like 60, 70 hours now or whatever it is.
You're just jumping with a delay, like everything
I was jumping
else
with
in
a delay.
Tarkov.
That's what it was. And I thought what was happening was back in the day, you used to have to be like, okay, you jump at this right time and then you'll get the super jump.
Oh,
or if you don't press the button, you get a wussy jump, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm just doing some wussy jumps right now constantly.
Yeah.
Dude, I was livid. I was livid when I found that out. And I would this is just a public service announcement for everyone listening to this. I know, you know what? I'm saving at least 4 people right now.
Yeah.
Go into your settings, check out what jump is, and I guarantee you it's still on release
The amount of
instead
people
of press.
in all 3 of our chats after that clip happened that went, wait, is that why my jump feels weird?
Yes. Yes, right?
Oh my god.
It's incredible how many people, like only in Escape from Tarkov does something feel bad and you just assume it's part of the game?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
how could you change something so important?
Yeah. So
That has
meaningful. Yeah.
so meaningful, hasn't been changed.
That's a funny.
It's public service announcement.
That's an
That's all.
interesting segue into Tarkov, because obviously, like so for people that don't know, Geeks is like an OG to Tarkov. You've been playing Tarkov longer than I. Like when I started playing Tarkov, I was watching you and Veritas and the team and all these people. So like you're an OG. You took about a year off. We'll talk about that later. But interesting, that conversation that we just had about that clip is an interesting segue into. We've talked before about how like weird and arbitrary a lot of the changes are and how like bad the game is at communicating those things, but we talk about it through the lens of like, I obviously play this game 6 days a week. We talk about it all the time on the podcast. I read every single patch note. What's it like taking the break and then coming back? Because you were also that guy that lived and breathed Tarkov as well. But now you're back not having lived and breathed it for a year, and you're not a new player, but you're seeing some of those experiences where like these changes sometimes just hit you in the face and you're like, what the hell?
I'm seeing the past year of updates. I would say the past year I haven't really researched anything or done much. So it's like the past year of updates have been like, oh, all the new stuff that's come. So it's mostly good though, right? Like I told you today, I was saying this today, how yesterday in the shower where I have all my best thoughts, I was like, why isn't it you can just click on like say your head and it'll show you all your helmets? And maybe I thought I saw that and like maybe it was already in my head that I saw it or something, but I was like, this would be a brilliant idea. And then today I tried it and I was like, oh, it's in there. Okay, smart. Now the buddy system, the grouping system is awesome. Love that new addition. I like the fact that you can't go into a scav raid when you're the first person to die or something.
Yeah.
Still kind of ridiculous, but you know what? It's better than nothing. I love it. It's good. The other thing that has been huge is preset system. So, your entire kit preset system, but it doesn't really, like, the only time I use it now is for balaclava and then this med. And then, you know what I mean? Like, I guess once it gets to end game and we're using only this, I'm only using this gun and this kit and this is what I use. Then it would become a lot better, but I don't think a ton of people are going to be using that. So is
that what you're using? Because I haven't really played the game since they've had the new preset system, but I always figured if I was going to use the preset system as it was, that it would probably be like I would have like helmet, headphones, headphones, like rig, meds, and then like almost like a shell, and then it would just be use whatever gun and ammo and whatever I have, right? But it was almost always in my head. It was going to be the armor, headphones, utility, the things that I would use every time that are like interchangeable.
But here's the thing, Veritas, you have to remember that you're a player that could consistently get that stuff, right? Like I would say 70% of the community is just using what they find. It's a survival game, so you are only using like scraps or here, you know what I mean? So like for the community, I think where it really does come into effect, though, when I was really thinking about who does this help out, in all honesty, it does help out the casuals, right? Because if you think about it, I did a big YouTube rant video on this, and we can get into it in a bit. How I still think in 2024 Tarkov doesn't value players' time, and that's my biggest gripe about it. But I think what it will do is, say you are, daddy 6 kids like Jesse, right? You have 6 kids, you have a normal 9-to-5 job, you might have an hour or two to play a night. What would be good is if you set up, like you buy like say 4 things worth of kits, right? You buy everything, and then you can just consistently, like, you get a raid, you die, boom, it's there. So you're doing everything at the beginning, and then you're trying to put way less downtime
in the in-between. That's interesting. I definitely agree that like it's one of those things. Like I can't remember. It was literally just before the podcast. I was thinking about something through the lens of like, sometimes I feel like Tarkov is having the identity crisis of like, is it a survival game, or is it like not an arena shooter, but so the preset system is an interesting one, because preset system, my brain just like auto logged that as like, that's going to be a huge W. Like, we spent so much time kitting up, a preset system is going to be huge. And it wasn't really until we got it that I was almost immediately like, oh, I'm never going to use this, because I'm always changing what I'm using. Like, I'm using whatever I have. Now, obviously I play enough that I can afford whatever, but I just like to play the game though. I just like to, whatever armor I have lying around, whatever helmet I have lying around. So I found the same thing, that thing where you just click above your head and it shows you all the helmets you have. You click the armor.
That's what I think.
That, I feel like, ended up being the bigger W. Yeah.
Yeah, me and you were talking about this probably 2 years ago, even. Like, preset system is something we were like, we thought we were,
yeah,
I wish we could just do a preset. But what we really wanted was just the click of the above to be able to boom, 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 boom. Yep. Right?
Because I actually feel like I could kit up that way faster than using the preset system. Because you have to like preset, then you have to hit open, and then it's treated like a weapon preset where you have to click assemble, and it's like, well, you don't have these things, do you want to buy them? And then I have to click yes, and then you purchase, and then you go back to the preset system, and then you hit equip again. And in that many clicks, I could just click head, ULAC, ears, sword and armor, defender, and then I'm almost there.
You know what's really funny is like these quality of lives that I'm talking about for the past year have been unreal. Like, I'm super happy about them, super happy Tarkov's doing this, yet they still refuse to do basic stuff. And I'm sure we'll get into the armor system for sure, but like, why can't we just have a map in game? Or even like, so like, I was thinking about this, right? I was really thinking, you know, I used to be team, it's a hardcore game, it's a survival game, it's just but like what you're doing is you're just going to another website to figure it all out. So like, I'm not saying you have to be like, you are here. Why can't you just have like the maps from Map Genie without the loot on them, but just basic like exfil, blah, 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 blah. Just like, and then be actual good maps instead of it being like, I need to take a university course to know like all this map stuff. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, does adding a map, here's a question to you guys. Does adding a good Map Genie map, like Map Genie, that, you know, you sync, say it's 30,000 rubles, say it's some sort of money sync, that it's an actual good map that's like, you know, you can read, it's easy to follow along with. Does that diminish what Tarkov is?
No, but you're asking the wrong question. So they have so many things that they want to work on and need to work on. The question is, do they implement something that somebody else has already done for free for them that everybody already uses? Or do they just build something else?
Well, yes, because it's just a map. I'm not saying you have to implement where the loot is.
No, I know. I'm saying like, it's the same thing as like the wiki. Like, do they implement a tutorial? Do they implement useful stats that teach you X and Y? Do they implement all these other things? They're kind of motivated not to, because other people are already doing it for them for free.
Yeah.
So they don't have to do the maps. They would much rather work on vaulting or work on these 3 bug fixes or work on these other features, you know, a new map or whatever. They're just not. They just don't have the motivation.
Not motivated.
Somebody else already did it.
Yeah, because I agree.
They did it.
I agree. It would be a W. Like, to your question, I don't think it would diminish from the game. I think it would, because that type of stuff is knowledge that you grow in, and then increasingly rely on the thing less and less, right? Like the more you know a map, the less you rely on a map. So it's not, I don't think it would ruin anything. But yeah, I think it's like the community, it's one of those it just like black hole formed into this weird thing where the community does so many things, the wiki, the maps, the Tarkov market website. And so the motivation to fix those gripes diminishes because they're like, oh, we'll do that later.
No, they must have stats where they're like, okay, this amount of players play for this amount of hours and just quit the game. They have to have those stats and see that because I had people, when I was making a big rant about this in my chat, there's a bunch of people that came and it's like, yeah, I bought the game for my friend. Someone bought it for 5 of their friends and none of them played it again. Like, it's one of those things, like, you can say they're not motivated, but there has to be playtime stats behind it to be like, okay, so many new players that haven't touched the game are dropping off after 10 hours, you know,
Yeah.
and then they have to figure out what that 10 hours, like what's the issue. And I think it has to do with, you know, maps. I think it has to do with, you know, heavy bleeds, light bleeds, all the medical system. And it's an easy fix. And like battle, like, or ground zero, like
Yeah.
that's a nightmare. They added that was a complete nightmare. I think there should be so many less PMCs on that map, from like say
Oh,
1 to
yeah.
10. From 1 to 10, let's just say, like, let's group this up: 1 to 5, 1 to 10. There's not high value loot on the map, so you're not worried about people spamming it like crazy.
Yeah.
But also there's like 3 other PMCs and just scavs. Like,
Yeah.
just give us a underhand pitch here every once in a while
Yep.
for the community, so that we grow the community. I just
Dude, I talked about that a ton when we were playing that first, because we fly through the ground zero quests in a day, right? So, and then we don't come back. But I was saying that a ton. It's like there's like, I think 12 PMCs on that map, which is crazy. I wouldn't even mind, legitimately. I was talking about this. I legitimately wouldn't mind if from level 1 to level 5 you could play on ground zero offline.
Yeah.
And progress, and like anything you extract with, you can literally, like, I don't care if you milk that and made 1,000,000 rubles per raid for those 5 raids over the course of the wipe. That means nothing, right? Like, that doesn't ruin the economy. It doesn't do anything. And then from level 5 to 10 or 5 to 15, like there should legitimately be like 5 PMCs on the map. I completely agree.
And you can make it so it's garbage loot too.
Yeah,
like
100%.
it's not even good valuable. Or here's another here's a brilliant idea: not found in raid loot. 1 to 5, everything you found in there, not found in raid. So you can't sell it eventually on the flea market. You can't do, you know what I mean? Like,
but you can use it for your hideout,
like,
and use it.
Just give them a slow pitch, guys. Like, let us have a slow pitch.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Smiling. Yeah, you mother effer. Slow pitch me. Slow pitch me, daddy.
Slow pitch me, daddy.
I mean, yeah, dude. You're like you're expecting like logic and reason and new player experience and all. Like, you're expecting that to matter, which is
yeah. At the end of the day, it's not for everyone.
That's where your mistake is, but you expect any of this to make any sense, any of it to matter.
Yeah,
I mean, if it were up to me, I would make the maps that we've had from the beginning. Like, I think the right way would be to make those maps. First of all, they would need to like update them and create the paper map.
Yeah,
because they haven't updated the paper maps since they've expanded and whatever, and then all the. But so it needs to create them and keep them updated with all the expansions, and then on those maps there should be markers in English or whatever your language is for all of the exfils. I would even like it if it showed you a little green marker for where you infilled.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And
I
then,
like that idea.
And then all of the exfils for scavs and PMCs are all marked.
Yeah.
So that you can look at the map, and on a massive map, you know exactly where you are, where you started, and then from there, you can use the compass and or spatial awareness to figure out where you need to go to get to where you got to go. Points of interest should be marked. If there are quests, if Prapor wants you to go check this place, there should be a little marker that gets added dynamically to your map.
I'm so about
the
this
traders
stuff,
should give you whenever you have a quest, your first quest on interchange. Ragman should go, hey man, here's the interchange map. I want you to go check out X, Y, and Z, and there are 3 little X's on your map. It doesn't have to show your location moving. It doesn't need to be like dynamic.
It doesn't need to be like that.
Showing where you infilled and where all of the exfills are.
Yep.
I would love to have to pull out the map and go compass north. Well, I need to go this way west, and
exactly. Or like you said, points of interest. So like you see like Ulta or you see Ollie. So like that kind of stuff. So it doesn't have to dynamically update where you are, but you can see that your quest marker is near Ollie on the map, and then you just look up and you're like, oh, I see Ollie. I'm close. Yep. You know what I mean? Like that. It still puts you in the, like, it's still Tarkov. It puts you in the vulnerable position to open your map and have to be safe enough to do that. But it's infinitely better.
And it's not a hard sell, because it's it's hard. It requires you do a bunch of work.
Yeah.
You put yourself at risk, and but but again, like the reason why they don't do that is not for any reason other than people already made maps. So like they don't need to do that because people will just open up a tab with rich maps and they can just forget about that until maybe later.
The other thing I think is it's easy for us to armchair dev. Like I always say that, you know, but I think this is stuff that's easy enough to implement, and the quality of life feature for us would be minuscule, but for players,
but for new players,
ginormous. And I think it shows you the way the three of us are, especially, is we're for the new players, we're for the players, we're not thinking about only ourselves. And I think the other thing is, hey, like, you know, it would help me, especially the infill. You know, when you said you'd mark where you infill on smaller maps, it doesn't matter too much, but when people are trying to learn a bigger map, I always tell them, like, wherever you infill though, just section off that map a little bit and just learn that little section, so they could do that even in offline. Be like, I know I'm here, and now I can just like, I'm just going to learn this little section and then, you know, go on. But I think also the compass becomes a huge addition. Then the compass actually matters. Then, you know what I mean? You can be like, okay,
I remember learning woods. I remember learning woods and having the actual paper map and not knowing, like, I would have to figure out where the water was to try and figure out where I learning. It was because it was either you spawned on the right side of the U or the left side of the U, and it was you go this way or you go that way, and that took a while, and none of the exfills were marked there, and I don't even think there was like there were no interactive maps like we had today, and that was like one of my favorite, most formative like eras of Tarkov was learning a map that way. But learning it with Map Genie and a tab open.
Dude, there was okay, so there's this that reminds me, like, it we've talked about this many times on the podcast. Me and Geeks talk about this specifically a ton whenever we play together, is about like how fragmented you get away from what it's really like to be new at this game. I feel like you're getting as close as you can back to that because you took a year off, but even then you come with so much knowledge and stuff like that. And, you know, we're talking about the maps and everything, and it's funny because, like, I do want to shout out this dude. His YouTube is Coolest Jonas. Jonas, Jonas. He's a new YouTuber, and he's been making Tarkov content. And a while ago, it was before the wipe even, I just saw this thumbnail, and it said a solo's journey to Lexos. And it was this 20-minute video, and it was edited literally S tier. He's got 4,000 subs, and it was literally S tier editing. And he was like, he had like never played Streets of Tarkov before, and he was like trying to do a few of the quests. And it was I watched that, and I just like, not only was the editing good, but I just forgot what it felt like to like not have any idea what the hell I was doing. Like, and I just watched that, and I was like, oh my God. And it was so entertaining, and it was such a good video. But he had just literally, I mean, he played Tarkov a bunch, but he had just never played Streets. So he had no, and I just like take so much for granted. Literally today when me and Geeks were playing, and I was like trying to direct you through the stream, and I just walked Geeks right into the Claymores. Because I just forgot that, like, he didn't know that there's Claymores around Lexos, Lamau. There's no signs or anything. You're just supposed to know, and I forgot that he didn't know. And so stuff like this, where, like, you know, like a rich map system, and that facilitates a better experience for people who are just like meandering around the maps. And this wipe, I mean, has definitely brought a lot of that back, because this wipe has been a big and influential enough wipe that you got, you know, anytime you've got your summits and your shrouds playing consistently, there's always going to be a huge uptick in new players, right? Because these, you know, I mean, these guys pulling down 50, 60,000 viewers, there's always going to be. And so I've noticed an uptick in my chat of like, yo, you know, any tips for this? Any tips for this? Like, how do you learn? And then it just reminds me, it's like, man, I wish the game facilitated that learning. And I think what frustrates me the most is when people are like, well, if you give them all the answers, it won't feel like Tarkov anymore. And it's just like, that's what nobody is saying. It's literally give them the tools to learn what Tarkov is. Give them the tools to learn the Tarkov experience. Nobody's saying give them everything.
Well, what they're saying is, I had to learn this in this miserable way, so everyone else should, because it makes you the person in Tarkov of like it's just that mindset sometimes. And
Yeah, you're not wrong.
you know, like that, like it's a hardcore game for hardcore people, but like they can't answer like a map wouldn't really
No.
ruin. Now I'm not saying like a DMZ style map where it shows you where you are
Correct,
and
yeah.
where you exfil exactly is. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying maybe bump it up from university level maps, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
to like to just like basic map genie, basic
Yep.
map genie, because at the end of the day they're like, it's hardcore, but we all know you're going to these other websites to learn about it. It's not like you like less than 1% of the player base has just learned where an exfil is. Like how many people do you think in the history of Tarkov just learned where all the
Just
exfils are by
stumbled.
just wandering around, stumbling around? And you know, when,
After 2017, nobody.
yeah.
well, yeah, and the thing they want to bring up a lot when I make this argument is they always talk about, oh, DayZ has awful maps, or A, B, and C hardcore game have an awful map, but there's not a time limit.
Correct.
Where you die in these survival games, in these hardcore survival
Correct.
games. It's like, okay, as long as I have food and water, which I'll find along my way, yeah, you can just find, and you know, you go to DayZ, you find a bus stop or whatever, it shows your map. Okay, I'm going over here. It's very different when you are
sure.
placed under a 40-minute, 50-minute time limit
100%.
or you die.
And you know you're 18 feet away from another player. Like in DayZ, you could go hours without running into another player. You know what I mean? Like, and DayZ actually like marks everything. They mark all their roads with street signs, and the maps have all of those. Like, the maps have the name of the roads, so you can reverse engineer where you are. The Tarkov maps don't do that. And I think the point you were about to make, I agree with so much, is like, it's, if a game wants you to discover something on your own, that's one thing, but it's not hard. Like, if I need X piece of information, and the two ways I go about it are the game provides me a way to figure out X piece of information, or I go on my other monitor and go to www.com/escape from Tarkov wiki, blah, 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 and then I get that piece of information. That's not more hardcore. It's like adding extra steps between the information like that is not more hardcore. It's not more realistic. It's not more anything. So why not give it? If there's other things that the game wants you to discover, like, it can create ways to do that, but you're going to get the information anyway. Like,
and I don't think any serious people like that are worth listening to are making that argument.
Yeah,
that it's more hardcore. Like, that's more Tarkov. Like,
correct.
Sure, we had to live through that, but you know, like, we had to live through X, so everybody else should. But it's also, the game is 1,000 million trillion times more complicated now than it was then. So us learning with 2 Deadly Slob tutorial videos and nothing else was infinitely less than you have to learn today if you start from scratch and just play the game. You need the wiki, and you need MapQuest, and you need 27 tutorial videos, and the problem is because you need all of those things, content creators and I guess just content creators in general, including the people who make the maps and the people who make the wiki, they are the ones that have built up the underlying foundational infrastructure that the game is sitting on top of right now.
Yeah.
That BSG can just kind of out of sight, out of mind ignore and continue working on other without having to think about it. There's no reason why, like, no one is reasoning their way out of, in or out of the, like, why should these things exist or why shouldn't they exist?
Yeah.
They don't exist because they don't need to exist, because they exist elsewhere, so that BSG can just think about other. There's no one is trying to, like, rebut that these things belong in the game. Everybody agrees with you. BSG just doesn't have to do it because someone else did.
And I think the other thing is, all three of us have all, you know, gotten a lot from them not telling anyone anything. Like we have all
Yeah, we
grown.
stand to benefit from being the
Yeah,
ones.
we do benefit
Yeah.
from them, because as creators, like how I cut my teeth in as a content creator for EFT was gunsmith videos. There
yeah.
was gunsmith videos done, but I thought, okay, how would I want them done? How would I make the sense of these? Okay, I'll do them that way. And people liked them, people enjoyed them. And then that's how I, like, if they told you need this, I wouldn't probably make a video because it's right there in front of you.
Yeah.
So I am, from them not doing that, I'm gaining a lot from it, which is awesome. But at the same time,
same thing with new player guides and everything.
Yeah.
Everything
No,
we do
for
is
sure.
it's because they didn't do enough. So it is kind of a win-win. I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I for as many people as we have helped, I'm sure there's more than like 10 times that just watched something, didn't understand it, the game didn't really show it or explain it, they didn't understand it, and they just quit
And they bailed. Yeah.
So as much as it does help me, I'm not denying 2 million beginner guide video, right? Like my YouTube video, 2 million views I got from it because I hit it at the right time. It was right before it drops. I benefited so much. But at the same time, how much would I benefited if I made different videos too, but that player base stuck around, so it was an even more popular game too at the same time? Like,
yeah, I see what you're saying for sure. It's interesting for sure. I mean, it's the reality is why I don't expect to see these things for a while because of that. I feel like Veritas said, they probably relegated any of these things they want to do to like after or with 1.0, which who knows when the hell that's going to be, some nebulous point, because they don't really need to. But it is interesting. It's been fascinating to see like there's a lot more new player energy with this wipe just because of how many like how big of a deal it was. So yeah, definitely interesting things and stuff like, and it's funny because none of this is stuff that's new, right? Like you and me have talked about this, Geeks, back when we were playing together a year ago, 18 months ago. And so you coming back and being like, I can understand you coming back and being like, damn, this stuff still isn't in the game. You know what I mean? Like, come on. But other than that, like, how have you been feeling about this wipe? Like some of these big changes that have happened, coming back and seeing it, because, there was a lot of excitement about a lot of these things because they gave us roadmaps and stuff, but you just kind of came in not knowing.
So we'll throw some stuff at me. Just
like
throw
the
some
recoil.
stuff.
How do you feel about the new recoil?
Recoil, awesome. I think the recoil, I think that alone is the number one reason why so many people came back.
Yeah.
I honestly do. I think the recoil is probably why I'll say 50% of the community is back, is they heard recoil is awesome again.
Yeah.
And they had those thoughts of probably like what, 11.7, 11.5.
Yeah, that was around the time.
Around there, like that like, that jumping around kind of labs play. And hey, if you like that style, it's definitely not that, but it is close to that again,
For sure.
which is nice. Like it's closer, especially I haven't even touched guns that are super modded out yet. So I can only imagine what those are like, right?
It's funny because some of those people you think of when you think of the jump around labs, some of those people are the ones least happy with the recoil change. Now, I would say most of them in general enjoy it, but like a lot of like the Mutant and the RD704, which were the two like, meta guns, they're some of the least fun to shoot right now.
I know. I noticed that when I built an AKM. I was like, why is 7.62 the one that is awful?
But I mean, by and large, everybody enjoys the recoil change, and that's been another weirdly back alley new player experience change, because it just doesn't feel like absolute dog water to find a gun in raid, pick it up, and go to shoot it. You know what I mean? Like it actually feels good.
I think what it is, it's more familiar now. The gunplay is way more familiar now for them playing. They're used to playing game A, and even though it's a hardcore game and it does have way more recoil, it still feels like game A to them, kind of, right? They get the idea of my first few shots don't go to the ceiling and then level out, right? So I think that is making players really enjoy themselves. Now, we were just talking about player experience, things being a little convoluted, ammo, not knowing what ammo does. Like that's a huge one. Maps, but like let's dive in. I don't know. Did you guys last week talk about armor?
Yeah, we've been talking about, but I bet we've been talking about that a lot, but there's even more. Like, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. There's been a bunch more people doing testing and stuff.
So I don't mind here's my thought process really is I don't mind where you get armpitted, blah, blah, blah. Like if they want to do that kind of stuff. So, lighter ammo does, or like lesser ammo can actually go up against the Juggernaut. Awesome. Where I don't really like it per se is the plate system. Like, couldn't we just have this whole system and it be like, I forget what level 3 armor it is. It's the one that scavs always have. It's green. It's a armored rig, but it's like,
yeah.
So it's like, you can't touch that. It just is in the armor.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't we just do something like that? Like you can replace maybe those armors if you want.
Yeah.
But like, even then I think it's, again, a more convoluted system than it needs to be, because it's just like, it's Tarkov. This is how it's going to be. It's like, who's putting like, and I get that you can take a press armor and put like level 4 or 5 or something. I don't know. I haven't gone too deep into it.
Yeah.
But it just seems like it's fun. It's goofy. I get it, but no one's going to do it at the end of the day, really. Right? Like no one's really going to do it. So why not just make it easy on the user and the user experience, and just be like, okay, this is the armor. It's still level 3 or level 4, but it's just now it only protects here, here, and here.
I'm with you 8 billion%. Like I now granted,
does that mean I'm wrong if Veritas agrees with me, Jesse?
It means you're onto something, bud. It means you're onto something. No, I mean, like, I am speaking from a kind of still from a conceptual standpoint, because I haven't played enough.
I keep forgetting it's not in arena.
It's not an arena, so I still haven't.
Gotcha.
But yeah. Every time I see anyone dicking around with it, anytime I see any gameplay, I just think if there was a way for me to bypass having to think or care about any of this stuff, whether it's I buy a preset thing, whether it's I just, like I have a way to, it kind of similar to so many of the other things when it comes to like either pen or like armor class, how people just come up with really simple rules so that they can just dumb it down and not have to actually worry.
Yeah.
That's the way that like I think about this, where it's like I just want to simplify it as much as possible. Like if I can have one transaction or one choice where I get a thing and that thing means one thing, it doesn't mean it's not this thing that has 800 variables inside of it and question marks that I have to consider every single. It's just way too. It's like you ever play Gran Turismo 3? Anybody ever play Gran Turismo 3 back in the day?
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Some of these like racing games, right? Some people love to, they want to tune the gear ratios and the spring tension and the front brake versus rear brake differential slip settings and blah and like I never got that far into it unless I wanted to pull wheelies with the fucking Pikes Peak Suzuki. I never with any custom settings. I want to get in a car, see the car has steering, speed, brakes, and see a couple of, and that's all I want. To be more granular than that, it's too much for me. If I'm going to do that, I want to go play something else, right? I'm going to go play my sim rig, and I want to or I want to go out and buy a real car and do it in real life where it matters. I don't want to get that granular in a game like Tarkov when the time to kill is 1 to 3 shots, no matter what.
And this is what I was talking about. This is what I was thinking about earlier when I was talking about the identity crisis of Tarkov, because or like what sometimes it feels like the features of the game. It's like, I just want to be like, what game do you want to make? Like, what game are we making here? Because sometimes I feel like these features, because I think like on paper, I really love the armor system. On paper, I love the idea of swapping out plates. On paper, I love the idea of like armor really only covering where it's physical. I think my question to people, and I say that to say like anybody that is enjoying this system or really likes this system, I understand it. What I've been shifting my conversation when I'm talking to people in chat or when I'm talking to people that disagree with me more to like, what is the result? What is the meaningful behavior? Because to what you were saying, like getting that granular in games can be really, really fun. And so you think about like a game like Diablo, where getting that granular is super fun. Like what synergy,
That's the whole point.
what synergies do I want my gear to have? What stats? I want crit over this because this is my build and this is what I'm focused on. Those are meaningful changes that are consistent and can't be taken away from you. And so you want to invest that time and energy. And so I've been asking questions like that where I'm like, okay, have you been in Tarkov spending additional time in your stash, min-maxing your plates? Have you been, are you going on the flea market to buy this rig because it's got class 3 air mid and it's got neck protection and it's got shoulder protection? And then are you buying this armor, taking the class 6 plates out and doing this? Because that sounds really cool and really fun. But then apply it to Tarkov and ask them, are you doing that? No. Why? Well, because I'm going to get one tap by
Yeah.
There we are. I think the system is great. I think this system in another game makes a lot of sense. And once again, I'm not saying I'm right here. I'm not saying I'm God and I have the perfect. If you love this system and love getting one tap from my scavs, dude, the Tarkov is your game right now. Hell yeah. But that's what I'm saying is like, we give the granularity and all these choices, but really you, Timmy Slayer 69 playing the game, do you feel like those choices are meaningful? And do you feel incentivized to take the additional time? Because if the answer is no, then what the hell are we doing?
But we wouldn't see how many times it saves you. Like it might save you 10% of the time. But when you're playing the game, you're feeling like 100% of the time it doesn't matter. Right? Like, so like it could be saying something, but where I'm at is still have the plates, but why can't they just be built in? Like, is it really worth it that you're like your point, you're changing? Like is it?
I understand. I asked that question earlier. I was like, how many of you guys are changing plates out? And so many people were like,
exactly. Like,
like do we want to be swap? Like, let's take it to the nth degree. Do we want to swap out firing pins? And do we want to have 75 trigger mechanism pin bolt screws? Do we want like
6 different versions of gun lube and this one has different stats than this one? Yeah.
How granular do we really want to get with the systems?
Yeah.
How granular is meaningful and does it provide you agency? Does it provide meaningful gameplay? But like, and it was an interesting way that you posed that, in that I think it'd be really cool in a game where you don't lose your to really min-max. What is the optimal? Okay,
100%.
I really like having class 4 here.
I was going to say the same exact thing.
Imagine like your speed was like double if you had class 3 versus class 6.
Yeah.
Then it would be like, it's a meaningful difference, right? I want to be like marathon lightweight, I want to be really nimble. I want to be really quick, and I'm cool having a gun that maybe doesn't do as much damage but has a high rate of fire, and you really can kind of craft exactly the build that you want. But as soon as that much thought goes into something as ephemeral as it can last 4 seconds and you might never use it, it suddenly is like, why? How granular do you want to get?
That's exactly what I was going to say, is that that's circling back around to what I started with, the identity crisis. What game is this system for? Because this system feels perfect for a game where you don't lose your stuff when you die. A game like Diablo, a game that's about dying 1,000 times and making 1,000 micro adjustments to your kit and then finding the build that makes you feel like a god. In that game, dying and making those adjustments it's the thing, and that's fun. And in a game like Tarkov that's all offline, where you get one tap to the scav and you're like, oh god, maybe I need neck protection, pop, 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 and then you run the raid again, that makes sense. But in a game where you lose stuff, and in a game that prides itself, and this is what I find fascinating, is that sometimes the things that the like hardcore Tarkov Andes pride themselves on conflict with each other, where it's like, okay, well, are you really going to do that? And it's like, well, yes, of course I'm going to do that, because I play and I have all this money, blah, 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 blah. And then if you ask them like, oh man, is there too much like loot and Bitcoin laying around? They'll go, yeah, man, there's way too much loot. Back in my day, we had to struggle for everything. So they're like, okay, well, if there was no loot and you couldn't make any money, would you still be maxing your plates if you didn't have any money to do it? And it's like, oh, wait, you know what I mean? It's like, so these things are just fascinating. And it's like, what game are we making this system for?
But you're talking about coming around full circle. We came around full circle to the beginning where we talked about, what kind of presets are you using, right? Like,
Yeah.
this system is for 5% of the player base.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 95% again, or I'm going to say 80 just to be safe, right? 80% of the player base just wants armor.
Yeah.
Is just figuring out what to use because they got it the raid before or they found it on a scav or something. Like, that's the thing.
You know what they're going to do? They're going to watch a video of someone that said, this is the best thing you should do. You should buy the Curasa and you put level 4 here and level 3 here and level 5 here. And then they're never going to think about how or why or what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. People will just want to know the answer.
Okay.
It's the same reason why people come into my chat and still say, hey man, what's the best ammo?
Yeah.
They don't want to, you can tell by the question that they don't even know the right questions to ask.
Yeah.
They just, and part of that is that the game is so complicated that they don't even know the right questions to ask, right?
Correct.
They just want the answer, and that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, and going back to your point, you're absolutely right, Geeks, that like, and this is what everybody brings up, so I'm glad you brought it up, is the survivorship bias, right? Like, I put the armor on and maybe it saves me 5 times and then I die 5 times, but then I walk away from that experience feeling like I died all day. I die all the time.
Exactly.
The survivorship bias is 100% there. But the thing is it's a balance. And I don't know where the exact percentage is, right? Like, but we use extremes to make the example. It's like, if you were dying 90% of the time, then you're like, what am I doing? What the hell is the system for? And if you were dying 10% of the time, maybe you'd be like, oh shoot, this stuff is working. So there's a balance somewhere in there. But I think like part of the core draw of Tarkov to a certain extent is the inconsistencies, right? Like, you can get one tapped by a guy with a well-placed TT shot. You can get, sniped from a guy you didn't know. Maybe, there's no solo queue. Maybe you run up against a solo. Maybe you run up against a 5-man. But I think that running away with that and saying every single thing in the game should be inconsistent. Sometimes your gun shoots, sometimes it jams. Sometimes the scavs don't see you, even though you're literally chest bumping them. Sometimes they one-tap you from 500 meters away. Sometimes BP pens an Alton, sometimes BP doesn't pen an Alton. Sometimes you get shot in the armpit. Sometimes, all I'm saying is, like, there's a point where the inconsistencies get too much that there's no incentive for the player to engage in any of the systems anymore, because every single one of them, it feels powerless. Like, the actual closest I got to like rage quitting stream was literally, it was like 3 days ago, and it was
it?
Yes. And the game,
oh my God.
I've never rage quit a stream before, and it was the closest I ever came. And it was because, like, the game teed me up for the exact experience the game wants me to have. My buddies died. I killed a player that killed my buddies. I was getting their loot, and I swear to God, completely unaggroed, I hear Kollontai, the new boss, just yell from the other side of the mall. And I go, yo, chat, is this Kollontai? So then I walk up and I get super thing. I open a door. There's a guard. He starts blasting me. I'm like, oh, shoot. I run back. I heal. I ditch my backpack. I'm taking right side peeks. I'm stimming. Like, I'm using every engagement like that where you think tactical, thing.
Yeah.
I'll do boom, one pushes, boom, throw an 8, boom. I kill all of them. I'm down to the last guard. I'm also doing a quest. There's a quest to kill him and turn in a baton. I peek a right side angle super tight. I'm using Velian's gun because my gun ran out of ammo. He's got a mutant with 7.62 BP, one of the best guns in the game, one of the best ammos in the game. Dude's running around the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chest shots with his gun pointed straight up in the air. He shoots me once with SP5. And I died. The end screens, I got shot 3 times. Maybe it was a fragment. Maybe it was the triple bullet bug. And I was like, what? What am I doing? If doing everything right equals coin flip on if anything matters, then what's the incentive to do anything right? And that's where you get the new players don't understand how the labs chads just stim up and shift W around. And it's because they have 10,000 hours and they're like, nothing matters. It's a coin flip either way. So I'm just going to run at the fight. And they're like, how do you do that? And it's and I
they
was
get
just
like an inherent advantage by doing that.
Yeah, and I was like, and I wasn't mad that I died or did the quest. I play streets all day. I'm gonna run into Kollontai again. I was mad because it was like the game set me up for the perfect like trailer of what Escape from Tarkov could be. And in that moment, I often don't. So I'm not tooting my own horn. I make mistakes all the time. I literally, half of my brand was my Lessons from Beyond the Grave videos talking about when I mess up. In that instance, I didn't mess up. I played it perfectly. And the game just said,
was it a bot that killed
sucks
you?
to be you. Yeah, it was the last Kollontai guard.
Yeah. But it's just like Killa,
like,
right? It's just like Killa. You look, you can do these like angle peaks. You can get like this long range, look at them where you don't think like, and same thing with scavs, right? It's just like for some reason when you put your crosshair on a scav, that's when they see you. And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of ridiculous,
100%.
right? Like,
so on one hand, the survivorship bias is there for sure, but on the other hand, it's just like how many inconsistencies is too many inconsistencies? How many things out there does the game decide independent of what you do? And at what point does that create a cool experience that keeps you on your toes? And at what point has it gone too far to an experience that actively de-incentivizes its player base to engage with the systems? And that's the big question I have about the armor right now is practically at the end of the day, no matter how cool you think the system is it incentivizing you to engage with that system or de-incentivizing you to engage with that system?
What you described there is such an important like meta emergent, God, I can't say this without it sounding like crazy. What you're describing is, I'm not gonna be able to articulate it. It's so important what you just described as how the game can be so close and so far away.
Yeah.
And what's so sad is how far I think anybody close to making decisions about what Tarkov is or should be or anything, I have no confidence that they would recognize the importance of what you were communicating with what you were just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't put it any other way. I'm with you 1,000%. And what's so sad is I don't think anyone from BSG is like 3% of the way to really getting what you just put down.
But I do want to. I want to take a little handbrake here. Speaking of cars, like put it into Gran Turismo 3 terms. I do like. I don't want this to be a fest. Also, I do want to say like I came back.
This is my bitch fest, and I'll if I want to. All right.
So listen. I came back, and there's a reason it sucked me back in again.
For sure.
Like I came back, and the first. Okay, I will say this: the day after wipe, I did quit after 2 raids because it disconnected me, and then I couldn't log into the like even the launcher.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I guess it means not to play. Then the next day, I got massive desync where I shot at a guy, hit him like 3 times. It said I hit him 0. I was pretty bummed. But at the end of the day, the game is really special. Like coming back was like a warm blanket. It was so nice. It was just like, yeah, like I miss Tarkov. I miss this. Like I really did miss Tarkov. It just had like, I think the reason, we're saying the issues right now is that all 3 of us are so passionate
for sure
and just see what this could be like. We in our heads we're like, oh, and again, it's armchair deving being like, just press button CD and E and you'll be good to go and it'll be amazing. But I think it's just because like the game is so amazing that it has everything we want in it, right? Like there is a lot of times when I was playing DMZ that I was like, man, I wish it had this. I wish it had this.
Listen,
like,
you don't need to listen. You don't need to justify. Okay, we're armchair deving, and it's
we're
because
right and they're wrong.
Someone needs to armchair dev.
No, I see what you
But like,
mean.
I
and
just want to be positive because
For sure.
it like, you know, this is my only time on stream or on your podcast, so I do want to make sure like,
This is your
listen,
second time.
second, but this is my only, like, this will be
Yeah.
my only time for another what? So
3 years.
32. What episode are we on?
187.
So
Another
I've got,
150 episodes.
yeah, I got another 154 to go for the next,
Yeah.
you know, time to come on. So I love this game. I really do love this game. And I think, you know, for the past year coming back, there has been a lot of changes that I'm like, this is awesome. It feels a lot better. The
Yeah.
shoreline changes were so good. You know, I can go in, we talked about it today on stream. You know, Jesse and I were playing on stream today. We can go in on how I don't know. I don't quite understand how they haven't figured out spawns. I just, in my head, it doesn't make sense at all. Like how the spawns can be this atrocious, but they are. So here we are, but I'm still going to die 2 seconds after spawn and still say, okay, guys, that happens. Because next time you might be the one that kills someone and you'll be like, oh, it sucks to be that guy. And then you're having a great time, right? Like,
I completely agree with what you're saying. This is the greatest wipe of all time. Like, I'm still here. And this is an important thing. I'm glad you brought this up because this is an important thing. This is the greatest wipe potentially ever. I truly, like, we talked before, I've gushed over vaulting and how it's completely changed how you traverse. And it's literally my favorite update of the whole thing. The recoil is better. Streets is just getting better and better every wipe. The shoreline update is phenomenal. So many quality of life changes. But it's like, what you're saying, I think, is like the hardest thing to do if you're going to create a special game is finding the right ingredients. Tarkov has all the right ingredients. They're just in super messed up quantities. Like, it's way too salty. There's not nearly enough freaking vinegar in it or whatever. But the important thing for me to, I guess, remind the viewers from time to time is that is why it's more frustrating. Because if you go to a brand new restaurant and they serve you something and it's bad, you're not that mad because you're like, I don't like that restaurant. When you go to your favorite restaurant that you only go to once a year, it's your favorite restaurant ever, and the service is terrible and they mess up your food, you're more mad about that because you're like, no, this is so good. This is normally so good. You bring your friend to the restaurant and you're embarrassed. That's what's happening. This is like, you're right. This is a special game. This is my favorite game of all time. And when new people come and I bring them to the restaurant, I'm embarrassed because I know it's so good, but it's too salty. It's too, like, why did you do that? And that's where it's at, where it's like, I've already seen this on Twitter where people, and I understand it, and I understand the Twitter game, and I understand the impression farm, but it makes me sad. People are like, hey, just so you know, everyone's going to start complaining in 2 weeks. Like, hey, I know everyone's liking this wipe, but just prepare for the complaint apocalypse. And I hate that because I'm like, of course I am. This game is getting closer and closer to like this most magical experience ever. These core things still suck dick. Do you want me to just be like, oh, they added vaulting. The game is perfect now. The AI is, and I'm going to keep talking about it because I want this game to be good. So it's like, I hate that. But I mean, and because I understand it, some people definitely complain for a living and I hate that. You know what I mean? But it's like,
Yeah, I'm right here,
But it's like, of course, a month into a wipe, I'm going to be talking more about the faults than the things because I just spent the past month gushing over how amazing the recoil is and how amazing the vaulting is. But as I've been saying for literally 5 years now, you brought up the desync. You mentioned this on stream earlier today where you were like, man, it's still really bad. At the end of the day, in a shooter game where you're risking everything you have on you, if you can't trust what you see and you can't trust what you hear, it's not fun. So the vaulting is incredible. The recoil is incredible. The shoreline recoil is incredible. All this stuff is incredible. But if at the end of all that, we're running into 3.5 business day desync, people running up to us, all these audio bugs. Apparently there's an audio bug where if you slow creep on anything not covered in snow, it makes no audio. But if you slow creep on snow, it makes audio. It's like something with how the game is like saying this needs snow. There's some audio bug in there too. It's like, what do these people do? You want me to not complain to not worry about because the recoil is better. You know what I mean? It's like these are different things, and I complain not because I hate it, but because I love it. Because this is my favorite restaurant, and they messed up the pizza. They didn't put enough sauce.
There's only there's two kinds of people that are upset, that are complaining that you're complaining. Okay, there are the people that they just don't like you, or they want to be online bullies, or they want to be just punk asses. They're just douchebags, right? And they want to say you made a mistake, no matter what happened. They weren't even watching.
Yeah.
They hit play, see that you're complaining, and they just want to say whatever happened, it was your fault. You made the mistake. You shouldn't complain, because they want you to be mad and you to be at fault. Okay, there are those people, and like those people, like they're not worth the air they're not consuming in your room.
Yeah.
And then there are people who seem to think that all of the issues with the game are intentional, and that if you
change is bad.
If you want them to fix the issue, that is somehow catering to your needs. It's making it more easy. It's making it whatever. They can't see something that's bad or broken for what it is.
Yeah.
And they're just like, it's like the people who have abusive spouses and make excuses for, oh, you know, Johnny's he's just having a bad day. When he gets really stressed out when he has a bad day at work, and that's why I have a black eye, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going, you shouldn't let him hit you, right? He shouldn't be hitting people. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
It just blows my mind that people.
I'm sorry, chat.
Yeah.
Chat is saying some mean
Just the
stuff
chat
right
message.
now.
Tarkov hits me because he loves me.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Sorry, that made me red. That was so bad.
I forgot what I was saying.
No,
but,
I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah, like it. The complaints. See there, and here's the thing: the second and the first kind of people, partially, they're in response not to the person with valid annoyances and complaints, but they're in response to another kind of person.
Yeah.
That is the kind of person that no matter what happens, that person was a cheater, or there was desync when there wasn't necessarily desync. It's like they have, and I know the kind of person that they're talking about, and to some extent, we are all a little bit of that person. Where something happens and you instantly want to try to find some explanation.
For sure, yeah.
There are times where if I'm having a bad day, that'll be the first thing I say.
Yeah.
Now I'm usually like cognizant of it enough to where I can walk it back and be like, no, okay, I'm just having a bad game or whatever.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of times where like something frustrating is happening and then I die.
Yeah.
I didn't die necessarily because of the frustrating thing, but you bet your ass that's going to be the first thing I'm going to mauled about. Like, why, when I hit Shift W, don't I run? Right? They're like, oh, you're in a bad place. Maybe I was. But if the game worked, I could run away and it would be a different thing, right? So sometimes people they're like pre-positioned to respond to the type of people that they die and they insta-call cheater every time. Or they die and they insta-call out desync. And I get it. I get the annoyance and the frustration with like, it wasn't that, it was, it was you.
Yeah.
But you really
Speaking
have
of cheaters, though, you calling out cheaters. I'm sorry to end your rant there, but I do want to talk about the profile lookup. Have you seen that, Fairtoss?
I haven't. All I've seen is now that's all that dominates Twitter is pictures of people with stats that everybody has now come to able to determine based on KD or number of raids survived, 100% cheater or not 100% cheater or whatever. And
I just love it to see what they're wearing.
Me too.
Like you wait till the meta. Like the meta soon will be, I put all this stuff in my bag so you can't see what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm wearing a super big bag so you can't see what I'm wearing, or I don't have a bag on or something because I don't care about rubles and I just wanted to hide my gear.
You just go into raid without half your and with like a butt stock without
Yeah.
No,
like
apparently
a stock
it,
that's
oh,
not
like,
on the that's
be,
not on the
That would
buffer
be
tube.
huge troll.
Imagine using a 7.62 gun. Okay, that's a great video idea.
Well, that was one of the
and
ones I saw was someone who died to a cheater. I forget who it was. Oh, you know what? It was Summit, who got like one tapped by a dude who had like a mutant with the red buffer tube with no stock on it, and the guy was just like one tapping everybody. And Summit was like talking to his chat and basically being like, yeah, why the else would you have these kinds of stats, go into a raid without a butt stock? And it's like the answer is either you're cheating or you want to make it look like you're cheating, at which point now that's going to be a thing that is going to be popular enough that people are going to do it to where you now have to call into question whether or not it's actually sus or not.
Yeah.
No, what I'm talking about is the game apparently shows your loadout. So when you go to that profile page after you lose to that person, whatever you came in with is what it shows you that person's wearing in that raid. So what I want to do now, and this is going to be a hilarious thing, is I'm going to bring in like a garbage VP, like garbage 7.62 gun or garbage something, use the same ammo and just have a shit drop it. And then in my backpack is my real kit where I'm juiced out. And they think I'm just like some random person that one tapped them with this like no like butt stock kind of. That's going to be hilarious. I can't wait for that.
And people will do that. Like what Veritas is saying is the meta will be some people look trying like to convince make it they'll like take their optic off and their butt stock off in their backpack, and as soon as they spawn in put it on the gun, and now you have a regular gun.
Is it a fact that someone said no, it shows what they're wearing when you look them up?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I have to look that up to see, like, is it when they kill you? Is that what they're wearing? Because that's a lot of info, by the way. I don't think you should be able to see their kit. That's kind of
that's like, wild. I'm surprised more people haven't complained about that.
I don't know. I feel like the info is so I don't know. I just don't feel like the information is going to be relevant, even if you go and you spectate and you tell your teammates who are still alive like what they're wearing. I don't know. I just don't think it matters.
I think it can. I think either way, I'm just surprised I haven't seen an uproar about it. Does that make sense? Even if it doesn't, I feel like the rejection of this kill cam from this certain section of the community, I'm just surprised that section of the community hasn't risen up and been like, oh my God, it's I can see the exact kit. That's so unfair. Like, I kind of agree with you that it would be, I think it could be effective in some areas where like you get hit by, 7.62 by 54R and I don't hear the guy. Knowing he's got a Mosin or an SVD, like that determines if I'm going to push him or not. I'll push a bolty because it's like if you miss, I win, but I don't want to push an SVD. So there might be very few edge cases, but I'm just saying, I don't care if they change it or not. I'm just saying I'm more surprised that I just haven't heard people raging about that.
But that's like XBlazed does those like streamers reacting to getting killed by me or whatever, or anyone that does like, you know what I mean? Like that'll be so funny if that is what happens, because then I'm just going to be wearing a janky ass kit with a huge backpack. My God. And then they will be like this. Nope. There's no way he just tapped me. Like, you know what I mean? It'll be, I thought that would be pretty funny. Can I ask you guys a question though? I haven't looked at, so I'm still not in the know at all. All I'm doing actually is, this is wild, and I know Veritas, you probably understand this. Jesse, this is something wild. I'm just playing Tarkov and not rushing quests, so I'm just going with the flow. I'm not worried about anything. I'm really enjoying it, and I didn't understand. Actually, it made this wipe a lot better, because as much as we might not want to admit it, or other streamers might want to admit it, the beginning time of a wipe for every streamer that mains Tarkov, that plays a lot of Tarkov, is very stressful, because you want to have a good survival rate to post that on Twitter. You want to be, at the same level as, a lot of other people or your friends, because you want to make sure you're doing the same tasks. It's a very stressful time. And then what happens is, I remember one wipe where I was playing with Sneaky Rush in there. Yeah. And then Peps. And I had the worst wipe day where I had like 20% survival rate. And at this time, I would never play scavs. I would be like, no, I'm just PMCing. It's wipe day. What are you talking about, scav? and I would just poop sock my PMC, and I would, if I had a great time, and I had like a couple of wipes where it was like 80
Yeah,
something% survival, and I'm like, I'm king of the world. But those times, man, just really ruin the game for me, at least. At least
yeah,
me. I don't want to talk for everyone here, but for me. So this wipe, I knew I had to do drops because, you know, it's just a fun opportunity for the community. I always like to give that back to my community, and it's a good thing for me
for
too.
sure.
And I was playing with a sealable, had some fun at the end. Of course, you know, the last 4 hours are always like you're
Brutal.
tired, you're making mistakes. And then I had fun. Then I played with Genitals again, had fun a lot. And there was a day after that where it finally clicked, and I think it was because there were 12-hour streams that didn't click yet. But I did have like a 6-hour stream or a 5-hour stream where the time flew by. I was just doing what I wanted. I was just like, I was completing quests, but not like rushing them.
Yeah,
And that's when it's like, that's when everything clicks and it just goes, and you're just like, okay. But to be honest, right now, I am starting to get that fatigue of Tarkov. Like I am starting to get that
yeah,
oh, like it's, what is this? Like what's happening here? Like how did I die? Oh, that guy whipped around the corner. I saw him for literally 2 seconds, but he knew exactly
yep,
where I was, but I know it's just decent kind of thing, right? Like that is starting to happen.
yep,
And it's not that I'm not loving the game right now. It's just I can feel myself being like, I might have to take a break for a couple of streams, play something else for a
for
bit,
sure.
you know? Yeah.
For sure. I feel you. I've been telling Veritas because
I get a bloody nose. I'll be right back.
oh God.
Be safe.
Yeah, be safe. Um, I've been telling that's just so random. I hope he's okay. I've been telling Veritas a lot that like I'm in the same boat. So it's like I rushed down max traders, but so last wipe was the first wipe I ever chose to not get Kappa. Like I
Mhm.
was like, I don't want to do these stupid quests anymore. And I didn't even decide that till late. I legitimately stopped going for Kappa. I think I had 5 quests left.
Oh, wow.
I just wanted to do those 5 quests so little. It was like the guide, psycho sniper, just like the ones that just like, you know, the ones you don't want to finish to get the Kappa. But so I didn't decide that until late. This wipe day. Because last wipe, I was like, I'll take a wipe off getting Kappa. And next
Mhm.
wipe looks like it's going to be so sick. I'm going to grind and I'm going to get Kappa.
Mhm.
Wipe day. I was like, nope. I'm just going to get.
All you wanted was traders.
All I
right?
wanted was
like
max
that's all
traders.
you want. All you wanted was max traders, and like
And that's why all day on today on Shoreline, I didn't have a single quest. I had so much fun because I just didn't
yeah,
care.
yeah,
I just didn't
yeah.
care. You know what I mean? Like, and it was, so I definitely feel that.
And I also feel that's when our creativity really starts sparking, though, is like, okay, I'll make my own quests, I'll make
For
my own
sure.
challenges, I'll make my own,
Or,
you know, I need to do this in 12 hours, or I want to try to run this gun and see how it goes, right? I think that's when the creative juices really start flowing as for us content creators.
yeah.
And you know, burnout is such a thing. And you know, after DMZ, I got scared. I didn't know what to
Yeah.
do. I was lost. And that's when I started like really trying to figure out the creative juices. What am I doing? Where am I going? What's my content
Yep.
in a nutshell?
Yep.
And how am I going to bring that to the next game that I'm really interested in playing?
Yep. Before we move on, I want to take a quick second and thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. We've worked with BetterHelp for a while now. It's 2024 now. It's the new year. And like we talked about before, a lot of times we get super focused. A lot of people get super focused on change. A lot of times that's just because it's a new year. And I don't know why we always think that. Or we're just coming out of the holiday season and getting back to some normalcy. And therapy can be a great way to not only talk about it and get much more reasonable expectations for these huge pressures we put on ourselves early in the year, but also a great way to focus on the successes of things that we are doing. And so therapy can be a huge tool, especially around this time for a lot of people.
For sure, man. Like speaking personally, if it wasn't for the accessibility of BetterHelp as a platform, I never would have actually committed with following through with any of the
Yeah.
like the struggles that I have dealing with the mental health stuff that are very real and far more common than people I think like to admit, and are arguably the most important things
Yeah.
in life. So given how fast it is, how pain-free it is, whether or not it's dealing with issues like depression, anxiety, whether it struggles with relationships that are like personal, professional, in your work life, or it's just your own kind of personal development. Getting therapy with BetterHelp can literally change your life. And what's more important than that?
100%, 100%. So it's awesome. It's all online. It's super easy to be able to find somebody that works for you. That's been huge for me. That's a huge pain point for therapy. Being able to just swap to other people. There's even like notes, being able to communicate with them throughout the week, or just say, okay, this is something I want to talk about in our next session. It's online. It's convenient. It's super quick. So we're very, very thankful to be working with BetterHelp. You can celebrate the progress you have already made this year and visit betterhelp.com/podcast to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/podcast. Thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. That, dude, I mean, like that, I've been so interested to talk to you about that because I haven't made that shift at all. Like I started streaming playing Tarkov, and I've just been playing Tarkov. And it's like, I can see a bunch of different games that I would like love to dive into. You know what I mean? But I think that's the scariest thing is like finding a way to bring the same creative energy. Cause it's not like when we started streaming playing Tarkov, well, I guess you came from, I think, Hearthstone, right? You started streaming Hearthstone. And then
no, I came from, Hearthstone to Warframe to...
When are we going to play Hearthstone, bud?
Dude, I play every night on my phone. Well, not every night, but I play a lot on my phone. I play Battlegrounds.
Oh.
I love Battlegrounds. I play it all the time.
Rip classic.
But you have to pay to win that. You have to pay to win that. Battlegrounds, it's just free. Like all the cards are, it's just like auto chess. Their version of auto chess.
Pay to win. It was when it was classic was just all the like first few sets or whatever from like 7.
Yeah. Oh. So I still have like. So I'm an OG of Hearthstone. I played it the first month. I have the first month back where it's like, if you have that on your card set, like it's like an OG thing.
Oh, damn.
I have that. I have 300 packs to open right now that I just don't play the regular game. So I have 300 packs to open. I have over 3,000 gold that I just leave because I like playing Battlegrounds. But, sorry, go on with your questions about.
Well, yeah, I was just so like that's I like getting into content creation was such a just convenient, perfect marriage of like, I love this game and I want to make content about the game. So there was absolutely no pressure. But if I were to switch a game right now, there's like those pressures of like, I really want to play this game, but I can't make good content about that game. So maybe I play a game I want to play less, but because I can make good content about that game. And so like, just how was that transition going from Tarkov to DMZ? And then from DMZ, like you were saying, what's
going to happen right now is someone's listening in their headphones. And, right now, so if I switch games and you switch games, it's very different, our viewer count. You would still have a higher viewer count than I do now, right?
And a probably higher proportion.
But here's the thing, right? This is what I will say to everyone out there that's listening and saying like, Jesse, you can switch games. It's easy, blah, blah, blah. If I go from 200 people to 100 people, I lost 50% of my audience. If Jesse goes from 800 people to 400 people, it's still 50% of his audience. He's not looking. No streamer is looking at, I still have and that's the same reason Summit got super frustrated. There was a whole bunch of times where, he was pretty open about his viewership a lot of times. And, he went from like 50,000 people and he went down to 15,000 and he started kind of complaining about it. It was something like that. But people don't understand. Yes, boohoo, you only have 15,000 people. But going from that to that is, if you look at it in a percentage base, it's still scary because now you're thinking you're getting this much income and it's already an industry where I'm so I'm unsure about what my paycheck's going to be. That it is tough. So I did switch to DMZ, right? So I already made one switch, but here's the thing. I didn't have the audience I did with Tarkov. Tarkov had a solid audience. I had a solid audience. Really, it was awesome. And then switching to, the Tarkov community, like mocks the COD community.
Yeah.
Right. It's just, because
very
it's like,
specifically.
Very specifically. Yeah. And then me switching to their survival game.
Yeah.
And what it was it wasn't that survival game was better than Tarkov, right?
No.
In the end of the day, it wasn't better. What it was different.
Yep.
And playing a game for 4 years straight for a job, at the end there, I really just, it became work that I didn't want to go to at all.
Yeah.
Boo-hoo, you play video games for a living. I was so miserable.
Dude,
and
I
I couldn't
feel
be
ya.
fun. I couldn't be myself. So, you know, I got married at this time when DMZ was coming out.
Yep.
I was on my honeymoon. I watched it a little bit. And then me and my wife, now my wife, we had a discussion. I said, you know what? I think I'm going to give it a try. I did do some balancing. I did do some I'm like, hey, like, this is a free to play game. The COD community has way more players. Like, this could be a good thing. It was unreal. Like, the change was very hard at first.
Yeah.
And I was still having fun. Like, that's why I stuck with it, obviously, because I was having fun.
Yeah.
The first update, I was like, oh, this is awesome. And the thing that I really loved about Call of Duty was, as a content creator, we want more news, right? And Tarkov, it's like 6 months you get news, 3 months you get news, if that. And it's not new stuff every 3 months. It's news you might get, right?
Yeah.
So what happened was, during those times, I would be like, oh, it's a good time for 2 months, and then it goes down to the dark times for 4. Call of Duty updates every 30 days. There's a reloaded update for that season, or then the new season. And the new season brings so much stuff. So season 2 brought a good chunk of stuff where I was like, oh man, okay, this is good. And then what happened was, season 2 into season 3, it got really popular. And what happened was, the people that like Tarkov, or the idea of Tarkov, or can't play Tarkov because it's console, started playing DMZ because it was more casual. It was arcade Tarkov. I called it arcade Tarkov. And then they started bringing out the casual arcade Tarkov stuff, barters, all that kind of stuff. Like, I made you play it with me one day, right, Jesse? And did you have fun?
100%. I always loved DMZ. I always thought it was super fun.
It was so good. And the sad part is, at the end of the day, they just didn't update it. Like, they just didn't progress with it. And my theory is that I don't think they knew how big of a development team they would need to keep this going and fresh,
interesting,
and updated. I think to make a game like this, I think you need a bigger development studio than they thought.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why. But there was a really strong community around it. And I'm going to be honest with you, if DMZ was still around, I'd be playing DMZ. And I don't know if I'd be playing Tarkov, probably, because this update was like the hype of the hype. So I would come back, but I would still be with DMZ because it was so goofy fun. Like, here's one thing that blows my mind. Actually, I wanted to talk to you guys about this. The fact that I could talk to someone and not worry about a 20-second VoIP countdown, like, I can make these stories and not be like right now with my scav, I'm trying to make these stories, or like trying to have interactions, and it's like, hold on, my VoIP's about to die, hold on. Like, and the fact that, like, you could just continuously talk, and then we had these like you would have this goofy stuff, and I'm a slave to cosmetics. Loved it. Like, I love cosmetics. I love that kind of stuff. It's goofy fun. They had like a police car you could get, so you could cosplay as a policeman driving around DMZ, and like, it was goofy fun that I really enjoyed, and content was coming out like crazy. Now, content left for it, I had to switch over. So I was like, I'm at the end of the DMZ cycle. They weren't updating it for the past 2 wipes, pretty much. And I was actually at the wit's end of where I was with Tarkov with 4 years.
Yeah.
Because the system wasn't as deep. So if you go like 120 days without really much new stuff on a not deep enough.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So I was like, I can't play this anymore. But then, zombies came out. I liked it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was what it was. Then I went to Warzone. I was like, okay, I'll try Warzone out. I've gotten used to this Call of Duty stuff. I got used to the shooting. I like the community. I really do like the community. I'll try it out. I hate it. I hate BRs. I hate BRs. And I say it time and time again. I don't like BRs because you can get 8 kills, 9 kills. You can be playing so well. Unless you come in first, you're a loser. And that's not a good feeling. I don't care
Yeah, I
who you
feel
are.
you.
It's not a good feeling to not win the BR. And that's what I loved about Tarkov. There's multiple winners. A 70-year-old could play Tarkov, and if they're just quiet, they can win as much as the Chad
Yeah,
can,
yeah, yeah.
right? So I love that aspect. But switching was so difficult. And it was
Yeah.
actually the first time ever where I started making more money on my YouTube than I did on my Twitch.
Dude, I saw there was like somewhere in the middle. You just started crushing, making
Yeah,
some
it was
nutty
in the
YouTube
middle where I
videos.
was like, and that opened my eyes. I always so it's a little different because the payouts for Tarkov content is different from like the CPM. Is it CPM? Yeah. The CPM on Call of Duty is different from the CPM on Tarkov, and or on Call of Duty is different from Tarkov, and it's by quite a bit. Like I won't lie to you, it's quite a bit. So like me
Interesting.
becoming successful was awesome. And the other thing I found was I started really making kind of like story-based content with DMZ, and it was kind of I don't know, I just felt more comfortable doing it there, and it people liked it. People were
Yup.
really watching 20-minute videos of me talking and you know, narrating why I'm doing this, why I'm doing that. And that's what I'm, you know, spoiler alert, and to shout myself out, I am starting to bring on YouTube now. Like I spent 7 hours on this like minute and a half intro for my next video that's coming out hopefully tomorrow. I doubt it because I'm exhausted now. But I'm probably going to put it out Monday then, because you don't mess with the Saturday and Sunday when the football's happening. I'll tell you that much. Your views will go down. So, but like I think what I am now is I'm like trying to learn content because I can see how great YouTube can be. Like it's just like, holy, it can be amazing. And the reach you get from it, like I always knew the reach from Tarkov, but like when it's pumping and it's really promoting you, holy crap.
Yep. No, dude, it's like, well, first of all, I always thought DMZ was amazing and fun, and I was like, it was a lot like the Cycle Frontier, where it just didn't.
Shame.
It just
Shame.
didn't.
I expect your community to be like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 100%. That whole like, I hated that whole like COD Tarkov thing. Like it, whatever. It wasn't.
Everyone was excited until it wasn't what they wanted.
Yeah,
right?
Everyone
was so pumped until it was like super bare bones.
But like, there are things
they were pumped until they saw what it was, and it wasn't exactly Tarkov.
Yeah,
it
was better.
Bad and deserves to be mocked.
There are things that DMZ did so much better than Tarkov does it. Like I'd rather have COD DMZ's AI than Tarkov's AI. Like I felt it fulfilled a power fantasy where you could actually feel like you're this powerful dude, but at the same time you couldn't just ignore them. Like you could die to the AI super quickly. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think something like that, like to me, you hit the nail on the head. When you talk about like, I was thinking about this earlier too with like the quests in Tarkov, and they just make these like super long arbitrary quests, and they're so annoying, and everybody hates them, and everyone's complaining about setup. I was complaining about setup and all these weird things. And it's like, it feels like they're just trying to fill time. Like they're like, oh God, we have to fill the player's time with something, even if it's just arbitrarily kill 87 scav with left toe shots with a TT. You know what I mean? It's like, but what something I feel like that they just miss, that just goes right over their heads, is how important something that simple is. The VoIP timer just kneecaps human experience. Like I just can't have a conversation with somebody without literally every time just being like, hold on, sit, and then it cuts, and they're like, did your mic cut out? And you have to wait 5 seconds before you can talk again. And it's just so, it just drives me crazy. And like another thing DMZ did really well, that me and Veritas have actually multiple times outlined exactly how this could work in Tarkov and how beneficial it would be, is the handshake of, I invite you to my party, you say yes, we're friends now. I don't have to worry about you betraying me. Like some sort of party system like that, where like I could actually invite him to the squad. We were talking about that in the context of like PMC karma, where like, you know, if we do some sort of invite and you accept in raid and then you betray me, like you can, but you lose PMC karma or whatever. But it's like stuff like that can be what fills the player's time. That's how DayZ's still around.
But here's the thing. But at the same time, that kind of stuff introduces other problems.
Oh yeah, I know
Because-
there was like the 6-mans and stuff like that.
No, not even that. Not even 6-mans. Like let's forget about the 6-mans. A huge percent of that player base, if you PvP'd, you were toxic.
Yeah.
Because why won't you just group up with me? I'm just doing tasks.
Yeah,
why
for
do you
sure.
have to PvP me? We can be friends and we can make a group. And
For sure.
it did become the first time where I was like, well, it's a PvP. Like I'm why are you making me feel guilty about playing a PvP or playing PvP in a Call of Duty game? Like
Yeah.
that is wild to me.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And of course I was always solo, so I was always against like there were other solo players, but it would always be me against either another person or me against a team.
squad,
And
yeah.
it's just always like, it's not like I have a 6-man roaming the squad, right?
Yeah.
People did that, roaming the map and just having a death squad, right? But that kind of stuff would introduce stuff where it's like, why won't you just like befriend me? Like, why can't we just be friends in Tarkov? Like, why can't you just do this?
I mean, you're definitely not wrong. We literally saw that with Scavs, right? Like Scavs used to be 2017, 2018. It was just kill everything.
No,
like,
yeah.
Kill a Scav to get a Pilgrim,
old
kill a
days.
Scav,
Yeah.
kill a Pilgrim. Yeah. And now it's like, you human piece of trash. I voiped at you. You kill me, you Scav karma. What a dick. You know what I mean? And I'm not, I get it. But I'm saying to say that, like, you're right. We saw that transition happen with Scavs in Tarkov. So you're right that, could happen. But I just say all that to say DMZ did some things that were great. And I was sad to see it get the axe.
It just didn't make sense. Like they had so much money, and like it's not like the community of DMZ. I know the BR community and the DMZ community kind of bashed heads because they implemented things for the DMZ that had to be implemented to like BR.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that one day, like, it's Infinity Ward's little brainchild. So I'm hoping when Infinity Ward does the next COD game, it's like their zombie mode, right? So Treyarch has zombies, Infinity Ward will do like a DMZ mode. But I think with like this year coming out, I think I counted like at least 6 extraction royales coming out, that are like looking good, and some that are like on the fence of extraction royale, like Pioneer and Once Human, where it's not really an extraction royale, but it still has that same kind of like, you get that feeling of crafting and stuff like that. And PvP, there's areas where you can PvP, so there's a lot coming out. I'm really excited. I think what my focus though is just to start like, okay, this is kind of the content I want to make. I want to make this story-based content. I want to, like, my biggest thing is I'm the tutorial guy, always have been the tutorial guy. How do I still be the tutorial guy while having a story in there and having some fun? I'll still do tutorials straight up, but I still want to make stories, and
for sure.
Yeah, well, one of the things you're gonna have to, I don't want to say gonna have to get used to, but I think one of the things that will become more obvious the more new games you get into is how many people would defer to the guide tutorial content, and how very quickly that can be like almost commoditized in a way where it's like the moment something new comes out, they write it on the wiki, 27 content creators, up and coming dudes, new, younger, whatever, all have a guide that is basically a parrot copy pasta of here's how you do X. Yeah. And once I think, and I've seen enough of your content to know that, like, just like Jesse, you guys both make fantastic beginner new player guide content.
Thank you, Veritas.
But just like Jesse's story content, you can also excel and succeed with more of that in a way that isn't so cookie cutter.
Yeah.
That some of the beginner stuff is. Now that isn't for me to say that like all beginner guide or tutorial content is cookie cutter.
Yeah.
If you're doing like here's a build guide or like quest guide or whatever, then yeah, maybe that's can be a little bit more cookie cutter, right? But when it comes to like I I can't think of any of your guys' stuff off the top of my head, but like I have the like, here's how you get good. And it was
Yeah.
more of a less generic and more of a
Yeah.
like, this is a Veritas way of doing things.
Yeah.
I think like the Geeks way of doing things, or the Jesse's, like those videos definitely have like their unique kind of staying power to
Yeah.
them. But I see us in the future, especially when you've got AI generated, you know, you have AI mass generated coupled with a million new YouTubers who all want to make it, and they take a wiki page, shove it through Chat GPT, and have a beginner's guide for everything, and they've got 20 of them on day one.
Yeah.
Versus geeks telling a story about an experience in a game or something. I don't know. I see that stuff having the real value long term.
Yeah.
Every content creator here will know that as good as tutorial content is, and how easy of clicks it is, and how easy of like you can fall down that rabbit hole, it doesn't bring you the viewer base. Because what happens is, do you have a guide for them? No, you don't have that guide. That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, they're not there for you. Like, and I know this is inside baseball, but I love talking content with content creators.
Yeah.
And, you know, something I learned early on is like, okay, I make all these guides, get all these subs, and it was going well. I was making, you know, some dough, and, you know, I'd have some people come in and they do know your name. You become a household name. But where I got in trouble was I was the beginner guide guy. But what happens when they're becoming the intermediate guy? They're not thinking of you. You're putting out content for all these beginners.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you do put out intermediate stuff, but like maybe they find someone else, or they're like, okay, I'm not a beginner anymore. I'm super lab Chad guy now, or that's who I want to be. So I'm going to go to super lab Chad guy. So like I can sell them on, I can bring them up like a little baby moose, you know, which by the way is called a meese. If you guys don't know that, it's a meese, a little baby meese.
So cute.
Jesse, dude, you're so gullible. It's not a meese. Yeah, there's no so but like
I wanted it to be real.
Jesse,
I wanted it to
Jesus.
be real.
I know it's
I wanted to be a little meese.
little baby meeses. But like you're in their head as you're the beginner guy. You're not the, or at least this is just all me, guys. Just let you know, this is my experience on how I had to change is you become just that guy to them, and not your geek say. Your geek say the beginner guide when I need to know how to do guides or gunsmiths or how to do this or that. You're not the I like your personality kind of guy. You just do things really well, you know?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, like what worked for me, because I wanted to make a lot of beginner-esque stuff, and but the problem is that if you make a beginner guide on any one thing, you're going to be competing with 27 people who are going to be making a guide every 3 months, a new guide. And do I really want to make a new guide, the same guide 3 months later? Here's how I start the wipe.
Yeah.
Wipe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, whatever.
In his latest video, right?
So maybe you do, maybe you don't, right? To me, that's not like creatively fulfilling, even though it's basically like a free, easy paycheck that I don't have to think about. But like, that's not what I'm in for. So, and then also you make a beginner guide video. The beginners are only beginners for so long, and then sometimes they get the vibe like they've moved on past your beginner stuff, so they start looking for more. Then they're watching all of the Giga Chad running around, you know. Basically, what I wanted to pivot to was I want to make content that nobody else makes, where there's nobody because there's no competition, and because people don't have this knowledge or this expertise, and like still to this day, there really aren't people that are doing the Comtax videos, that are doing the in-depth.
Yeah.
And then there are some that do like the science
for sure
videos, although I still like take pride in mine having an essence behind them that is like, basically you have people that are saying, I when I do the videos, this is the science, and I'm putting up and put up and shut up. You want to like dispute what my findings are? By all means, come peer review it. Let's do the science. Like,
Yeah.
come at me in a way. But like, these are definitive answers.
Yeah.
And here's the receipts behind it. And everyone else says, here's some science and here are the findings, but I don't know. I'm not really sure. I don't know, And, and for good reason, because they don't need to or necessarily want to put in the effort to be able to stand in front of it and be like, okay, now what,
Yeah.
Which like I can respect. But I don't know. I think there's value in that. And that's the kind of thing that is going to keep our jobs alive when there's 7,000 AI bots generating every possible content you can think of. When I'm making content that only I can make.
Yeah.
And I think that's what content creators need to say to themselves.
The low
if they really
hanging
want to
fruit
survive.
is what all that stuff is coming for first. Exactly like you said. It's like you said, it's the easiest thing. If you're going to have an AI make a video for you, the easiest thing is to input a wiki page and make it a beginner guide, right? It's not to make cinematic narrative content. There might be a day that AI can do that, but I completely support and agree with that decision to transition to more narrative, story driven content. I think that's exactly what I'm doing. What I've learned over the past year is that like multiple different types of content can exist on your channel. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've done tons of beginner guides. You know what I mean? I do. I think I have 400 now highlight videos, which are literally just stream highlights edited in a funny way by my brother. I have intermediate guides. All my lessons from Beyond the Grave is like a much more in-depth, like, let's talk for 20 minutes about why you shouldn't left-hand swing, and like intermediate PvP. If you really want to get better at PvP, let's break this down. And then I have a 90-minute video that's the story of me and Valiant firing up fresh accounts, and we're saying, when we die, we delete these accounts. How long can we last? And it took 2 months to edit. It was an hour and a half long video, and it's my third highest viewed video of all time. And my highlight videos haven't died as a result of that. My beginner guides haven't died as a result of that. They all that was, I think, my biggest fear for a long time. If I move away from this, I have to move away from it. I have to stop, because if I make multiple different, then nobody's going to watch it. And I think that's what I've learned over the past year, is that the algorithm does a good job if the video is, I don't know. So at least for me, I've found success in all those different areas. And so I've been really trying to grab that by the balls this wipe, and make the beginner content, make the wipe related content, make that stuff, because it is, it's easier to churn it out. But in the background, me and Frankie for the past 2 months have been working on another 90-minute narrative story-driven video that should be launching next week. I know I said that last week, but it should be launching next week. You know what I mean? So it's I'm trying to do that, and I think I just completely agree. It's funny how we all kind of arrived at that separately, but yeah, I definitely agree that that's the future. Not the future, but that's it goes back to what you're talking about. That's how people cross that threshold into being dude, I want to see a Geeks video. Like when JLK posts a new DayZ video, it's I want to watch it because JLK makes insanely good. I played DayZ 7 minutes my whole life, you know what I mean? But I'll watch that because I'm JLK makes amazing DayZ videos. You know what I mean? So that's how we cross that threshold.
In DayZ content, but I'll watch a JLK video.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing.
Yep. So
or it's just I don't like Rust, but I'll watch a lot of Rust creators.
I watch,
you know what I mean?
So much Rust.
Welland's fantastic. I've stepped foot in Rust for 5 minutes, got called the N-word, and then I was I'm done with this one, I think. And I think I think that's it's, what the scary part is. I'm not scared, I think, to make different content for the game I'm playing. I think the scary part is going to be when you start making content for another game.
Oh, for sure.
And mixing that into your content. And I think you just got to start and you don't have to start. What I'm saying
ask
is,
me anything.
Yeah, but you just got to or here's another thing that I'm kind of in my head about. Do I put short form content on there? Is it good? Right? Is short form content beneficial on YouTube, or is it just inflated views that now are going to these subscribers that don't like long form content and aren't clicking it?
Oh, you mean like shorts, like actual shorts on
Yeah,
YouTube?
yeah, like
Oh,
yeah,
dude, I'm a huge. I think it's a huge W. Short form content, yeah.
yeah. You think it's you're a proponent?
Yeah, because I literally what I do is every single short I've posted, there's a little box that says do not notify my subscribers of this. And I just click that. So you don't get if you're a sub to
No,
me.
no, no. So so you're thinking of it the opposite way though. I'm saying you get this so what happens is you'll get
Yeah.
50,000, say you have 50, say out of all your subscribers, 50,000 of them
Yeah.
are short form content, but they like short form content. So
Yeah.
your YouTube, when you put out a long form video, could be putting it out to the short form viewers, and then they're saying, oh, that, you know what, his subscribers aren't liking it as much as usual now. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not clicking on it as much as
it depends. I guess it depends. Like I know what you're
Yeah.
saying, and it's the same thing for me where I haven't been making like a bunch of Tarkov content. I've been making a lot of non-Tarkov content.
Yeah.
But I have a bunch of highlights I could be making into shorts. But I have the same kind of thought where I feel like if I did Tarkov highlight shorts, that could hurt the performance of any videos I put out after that, because those short subs are going to engage a little bit and then click away, hurting the performance of any, whether it's Tarkov or non-Tarkov long form content. And the answer is it really depends, and it depends on your content and those people and how like those Venn diagrams all meet.
Yeah.
If you could be making content, you could be making short content that the short subscribers are more likely to engage in a helpful way.
Yeah.
They might be like, I'm not necessarily interested in this, but actually this looks interesting. And all of those people who engage with your shorts now like the long form stuff, which then just gets you more subs, more engagement, whatever. And you know, it could snowball, or the opposite. It really depends on the kind of content you make.
I think that I definitely think that there's a part of that. Like if your channel was exclusively 4-hour documentaries, like the Billy Mitchell documentary and Tarkov shorts, like there was nothing in between, I think that maybe it would have a thing. But I think in channels that like, I think like for me or for geeks, I'm wholly unconvinced that shorts, if I get a short, it does 10 million views, I get 5,000 subs, that those like I don't think I think it has an incredibly negligible effect on the performance of my long-term videos.
You think it's going to be positive? So
because
it's
here's
funny.
the thing, the reason why I want to say the reason why.
No, I'm sorry.
The effect that it has would be potentially a video that was going to get 50,000 views gets 30,000 views. But I don't think it can be the difference between a video that was going to get 1 million views gets 30,000 views. Because what determines if your video gets 1 million views is almost exclusively, do people that are not subscribed to you like it? Does that make sense? It's like virality comes from showing your content to new people. So I think that slice of the pie.
Those impressions though can be if you put out a video, a long form video, and your subscribers are going to be the ones that are most likely to click it within the first 24 hours. Yeah. If they're not engaging with it, that almost guarantees it's going to fizzle.
That way. I don't think it works that way.
I'm almost positive it does. But
I think it works. I think it shows your video to 100 people, 50 of them are subs and 50 of them aren't. And if all your subs don't click on it, but all 50 of the people that aren't click on it, it keeps rolling and it shows it to those people more. I think I don't think it's where it shows it to 100 of your subs and then it determines it after it.
No.
I think it shows it to 3 different groups of people. And if one group of people responds really well, then it widens that range.
So
hold on 2 seconds. I have a case sample for this. I have a case. There are so many Call of Duty people that have 700,000 subscribers and get less than 10,000 views on their long form videos.
For sure.
And what they say now to do is you should be, there's a button to click that you talked about it.
Yeah.
Notify your subscribers.
Yeah.
You click that and you unclick that for your long form videos. They're doing that now.
That's insane. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're saying now, if you make your content, and this is just what they said.
Yeah.
If you cut your teeth on, I don't even know where I said that twice now in this podcast. Like I've ever said that before in my life. So if you cut your teeth, get the fuck out.
I love it.
Dude, Canadians are weird. So if you made your bed, I'm just looking for things like I'm just trying to try these different. But if you grew your channel from shorts, a lot of people now are saying, hey, what you should do is not notify your subs about your long form content, which in my mind is onco. But again, this isn't a problem like you and I or Veritas would have. I don't think it's just something I think about because as a content creator, it's a game of chess where I'm like, okay, I have to move this and then do I move this? And especially because I've went from I've been just swinging the past 2 years, my numbers have just been swinging. And I'm now saying to myself, am I enjoying my content? Do I like my content? If the answer is yes, just keep going. Cause that's all that I need to do.
Yeah, I feel that.
Is I because that's how I started. How did I start?
Yeah.
Okay. Gunsmith videos. How would I want them seen? Do I like them? And then you just,
Yeah. I feel you. It's all a mess for sure. Right. Like I have no idea. None of us really know how the algorithm works. But I think in the sense of if the content is all around a similar thing, like you were saying, if it's gaming content and it's all gaming content and you're making long form videos about games and short form content about the similar games, I'm wholly unconvinced it can do much damage. I'm very willing to be proven wrong there, but I think the benefits outweigh the risks for posting short form content. And the other thing is I think YouTube is one of the sites where very few people. I am pulling this out of my ass, so I'm not this is just I'm making this up, right? But I feel like YouTube is a place where very few people engage with it in only one way. Like I watch 10-minute videos and I watch hour and a half long videos and I watch 3-hour videos. I don't really watch shorts on there, but
no, me neither.
So I don't think people that watch shorts only watch shorts. I think there's 5 different lengths of video, average lengths of video on YouTube. And I think most users watch 3 different lengths. Not everyone watches everything. So I don't think people that watch shorts only watch shorts. I think they watch shorts in certain times of their day when they're on the freaking toilet or whatever. And then when they're on their lunch break, they might watch a 10-minute video. And then maybe later at home while they're working on something else, they might watch an hour-long video. And so I think the double or triple dip there is worth any benefit. It's worth any risk of a short going viral and then that negatively affecting the channel.
Do you try to make all your shorts under 60 seconds so you can use them on TikTok and YouTube and shorts?
We intentionally do the opposite. Every single short has a minute plus version and a short and a 60-second version.
Whoa. That's wild.
It's new. Crazy. I just started doing that.
With Frankie?
Mm-hmm. Because the TikTok creative program pays.
Oh,
it pays 40x.
Yes.
30x.
So
what
we don't get paid here.
Shorts.
That's why I don't care.
Dude, oh my God, I forgot about that. That's only the US. That's the most bonkers thing in the world.
Yeah,
guys
Canadians don't get paid.
Dude, Mr. Gibbon would be making $1 million a day. Homie pulls 400K every day on his shorts, and he lives in Ireland. He can't get paid from TikTok. It's true, and that's mind blowing to me. Yeah, literally on YouTube Shorts, it's 3 cents.
I know. No, YouTube Shorts, but that's why I don't focus on short form content.
And on TikTok, it's 90 cents.
That's crazy. Yeah, I have a finite amount of time.
30x.
I have a finite amount, so I'm I'm just if I make a short, I should make it so it's 60 seconds or less, so I could put it on both platforms.
For sure.
But if I was getting paid, I would be more incentivized to be oh, I gotta start hitting TikTok. But I don't care because it's
that makes total sense.
The investment of time right now is very important to me. Yeah,
that makes total sense.
I still can't figure out why my TikTok got banned.
That's so
You're banned on TikTok?
dude. TikTok is
I mean,
like I don't know. Valiant gets banned on TikTok like every other day.
bro, I literally had like 3 power washing with my own music playing in the background, like lo-fi, and like I went to go log in one day and it was like this account like was banned and I never got an email.
Oh, they're really bad. What you should reach out
I
to a
know.
couple of companies. I can send you some names of some people if you really want. Text me and
I mean, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
make that 90x though. You know what I'm saying? Making that 90x.
I mean, I haven't. I made short form
Jesse,
content like 3 years ago.
Without saying the number or anything like that, I'm not going to ask. But is it like it's pretty crazy what TikTok can do?
It's crazy what TikTok can do. I haven't touched into that yet.
Money wise, no.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, just like I haven't had the views, right? Like it's crazy. I mean,
Gotcha.
you can extrapolate it, right? If you're making between 80 and 90 cents, and then I know people that are pulling down 300,000 to a
What is
million
it, 90
views,
cents every 1,000
views. I know people that are pulling
Gotcha.
300,000 views every video, every day.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
nuts. I don't pull 300,000 views on my videos. I had one video hit 300,000 views on wipe day. But like my TikToks do anywhere between, 5 and 20,000 views on average. And we just started doing that about a month ago, trying to make them a minute long. So we're still tinkering with the sauce of what makes a good minute and a half long. It's so funny because long form content wins. What's the avenue you're making content on? Make the longest possible content on that avenue. Veritas just posted a 4-hour documentary that is for sure going to hit 1 million views now. We need to talk about that for a second after this. For sure going to hit 1 million views now.
Google this.
And it's crushing. 4-hour documentary, right? And the same thing is happening on TikTok. You can post videos up to 5 minutes long. 10, 20, 30-second TikToks these days, bomb. And Mr. Gibbons' 3.5 minute, or Ash is crushing on TikTok.
Yeah.
Ash's 3-minute DayZ video crushes. So it's like long form story driven content always wins. And so I'm trying to figure out how to get that into TikTok more. Dude, Veritas, what happened? All I know,
770.
Yeah.
Oh,
Holy shit.
Moist Critical.
Moist
and
Critical.
Carl Drops called it out. Well, so what happened was
Oh,
Twin
that's so
Galaxies
sick.
and Billy, they settled their lawsuit.
yeah, I heard they reinstated his scores. Is that fake? Or is that like a long story?
It's okay. So they that's a typical Billy Mitchell
Yeah.
lie.
Okay.
They put his scores back on their historical database, which is effectively, and this is what Carl said in his video, it's effectively the Wayback Machine.
Gotcha.
He's
Okay.
still banned from the leaderboards,
Okay.
and and his scores are not officially there.
Okay.
They reinstated his scores, and then like in really small print asterisk on the secondary historical database that basically just shows that
But
this is what the score was in 2014 or
But
whatever.
he's innocent. It's so stupid. Billy should be on that leaderboard.
Dude,
I
if
just wanted to
you
see-
were
I just had it.
serious,
Yeah, I know.
Veritas's head would have
Veritas was showing me it at
explode.
TwitchCon. He's like, check this out. You can see these frames, and I was like, dude, this is way above my nerd knowledge, and I just knew that would trigger you for a second. Thank you for entertaining
somebody
my-
just in chat the other day was like, Jesse, click this link. And I click the link and it's time stamped and I see Moist Critical, and literally whoever in chat sent me the link, dude, time stamped it perfectly. I clicked the link, it went full screen, and I hear Moist Critical's voice as soon as I click it. Here is a 4-hour video definitively proving, and I see your video up on screen and Moist Critical down in the corner, definitively proving Billy Mitchell is, and I was like, I got so happy. Oh my God, it's so sick.
And so like that graph, I'm just gonna show the analytics. Because I literally like this is. I think this is like
so
educational.
sick,
I don't care that like people can see it's largely meaningless to me. But oops.
Holy, you made $1 million from this video?
Bank statements? Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, you made $900,000?
Why is it?
How'd you lose subs? I don't get
Oh wait. Why is this not working? Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
I'm a car? Is this gonna Bro, why? What the
You had a
Alright.
PogChamp on there earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why it's not working now.
Oh. Well,
All right, dude. I guess they don't want me to show the analytics.
How many
But
subs did you get
basically-
from it? How many subs?
5,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And like
it was a slow
the
ramp?
line is like this,
Yeah.
like a 45.
and then moist critical, like and then it's like
Yeah.
it's just like a jagged line up.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay, I want to. Okay, how much do you think? So 700,000 views. What
Yeah.
would you guess would be the revenue?
So that's very tough though,
Yeah.
because you have a 4-hour video. How many ads are in that?
I have no idea.
4
dude.
hour
Whatever the,
and
Enough.
whatever the
Enough.
default, whatever
Yeah.
the default fucking.
Okay,
YouTube-
the default? Ooh.
and
What's average
not,
watch time?
Not in like a specific game. Like this is like a documentary.
I know. I just need to know
average view duration is 48 minutes.
Holy
That-
dude. Wow. Okay. Okay.
48 minutes?
I want to say $4,000.
48 minutes?
More.
More than 4,000? Okay, that was me low. Like
Yeah, it's
Six?
almost triple. It's almost triple that. It's at a-
$12,000.
It's at 11 right now. And you know what the sad
48.
thing about that is, if you take 90 days, you like it's still like $14 an hour or something. Like
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
actually break it down,
Yeah.
with
What's
time I spent on it.
Okay.
But
what's the average percentage views? I guess 48 minutes would be
21%.
That's
Oh.
fascinating. You want to know something crazy? Because I looked up the longest video I made is the Iron Man video. What do you think
Mhm.
the average percentage viewed is?
How long is the video?
21%.
Oh, there you go.
But mine's 90 minutes. Is that just like the magic number where like enough people drop off? Anyways,
Yeah, mine's 20.8. I
What-
rounded up.
What do you mean 21% watch the whole thing?
average percentage views. Like basically just as a percentage, most people watch 20% of the video. What's the
Hold on. Where do I find this? Because I'm doing the beginner guide now one with.
at the 50-second mark, how many people like clicked away? Like what's your percentage at 50 seconds or what? The first number it
So-
lets you click.
Mine's 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Oh,
and it says
because it's
30.
so long, the graph is like
It's 39%.
still watching or 39% left.
So 72% of viewers are still watching around the 30-second mark.
Damn.
72.
Wow.
And there's
Damn.
60% are still watching. Oh, wait, sorry.
70%
That's
at the
crazy.
2-minute mark, bro. My Iron Man video, 52% are watching at 50 seconds. I had almost
Yeah, I'm at something
48%
like-
of the people
yeah,
bailed in the first
The
30
beginner
seconds.
guide, I'm at like 24 seconds. I'm at 59%, but my average percentage viewed 32%.
That's actually crazy. And that video is like, what, an hour long, hour and a half?
No, 40 minutes.
40
average
okay,
view duration
okay.
13 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's
Dude.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, you see that moist critical jump at the end.
that's
this right here
awesome,
is-
dude. That's so awesing. Congratulations,
40
dude. That's huge.
48-minute average
I
duration.
can't believe that.
Is
That's what. Yeah.
crazy.
Past 48-hour views. When did Moist Critical shout you out?
It was like,
Yesterday.
yeah, yesterday.
Oh, okay. That's why it's like 80,000. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be. You're gonna hit. Is this gonna be your first mill video?
Yeah. I don't think
That's
I have
awesome.
any that have a mill.
This
The
is
interesting
awesome.
thing is that like, so I've been between 700 and 1,000. Like I've been looking at this number. This number has been like a big indicator. And it's so funny. You compare that to my recent Tarkov Arena is busted video. It has like 78,000, and it's made like $180.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, go to like
scale.
CPM on this. Like go to revenue. What's the CPM on it?
where does it say that?
On the revenue on the left tab, on the left of this, you'll see monetization.
Or no, it'll go analytics, but it'll be at the top.
And then monetization. Yeah. Revenue. Yeah. Oh, this is inside baseball. $29.
Oh, throw
holy
up in my
shit.
mouth, dude.
Dude, that's wild for wow.
CPM,
$29 is that's way better than Call of Duty. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Revenue for every 1K views RPM 14. Yeah, I don't know.
I think Tarkov's like 10. And
my
like
my Iron Man video was 7.
17. 7?
Mm-hmm. So wait, CPM or RPM?
CPM. Playback base cost for every 1,000 views. It says on revenue when you go down. How much advertisers pay since uploaded?
Oh yeah, 10. Sorry, I look at RPM more frequently now. Yeah.
Why RPM?
Huh?
Why RPM?
Because
that's more realistic.
RPM is literally how much you get paid per 1,000 views. CPM is how much the advertisers pay, but then Google takes their cut, right? So RPM is just directly how much I make per 1,000 views.
So this is 14
RPM.
Yeah. What was yours?
The like one of my recent videos that hit 100,000 views, that was like a Tarkov like a wipe video, was $5 RPM. My Iron Man video, the 90-minute, was 7. So it's double. That's crazy.
It's actually interesting. I'm surprised it's only double, considering it's a 4-hour video.
Yeah.
In a slightly different. I'm actually surprised it's not like quadruple.
I wonder if it's because it's categorized under gaming still, because it's like a gaming centered thing, and gaming just tends to trend on the lower side.
You know, I specifically like didn't choose Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
As like the game, and it's in like the Donkey Kong like 1981.
Yeah, their auto content ID stuff is crazy.
Yeah.
It was I forgot. Yeah, you met Eric, my good friend. Yeah, dude, his CPM and RPM will make you throw up.
Really?
Because he does true crime stuff, and it's like his CPM and RPM are like 6x Veritas's CPM and RPM of that.
Whoa.
Like, it's insane. True crime goes crazy.
So then I should make the video.
Oh my god, I didn't know
that. Thinking about,
dude, true crime goes like advertisers will pay like $40 CPM on true crime stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy.
All right, now I definitely know what I'm doing my next video.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, most of my Tarkov stuff's getting about $4, like $3.94 RPM. That's what it's about, is $4 RPM.
Most of my stuff, like my highlight videos and stuff like that, are around there, somewhere between 3 and 5, depending. Crazy. Well,
I love how we got into like the nitty gritty of content.
Yeah.
And I know there's going to be some people that really love it, though.
For sure.
So I'm
a lot of people really love it.
Yeah. I think it's cool to see, and it's cool. I feel like it's cool for people to see a little bit, the peek behind the curtain of how we think about it. And then obviously, we talk about this all the time. It's good for us to have people to talk to about it. You know what I mean? Like that reminder that
I don't have enough. I need to talk more
in the same boat
to you guys about it.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, especially me getting back into this and just like trying to try different stuff. And you get down. You get so down on yourself, eh?
Sure.
Tell me about it, bud.
Yeah.
For sure.
I know, bud.
But
imagine trying and putting out increasingly better content and more unique content and better content, and knowing there's an audience and it just doesn't get served to that audience.
Yeah.
And then it flops and it makes $11 and you lose subscribers and you spend a month on it and it gets -4 subscribers and you made $9 over and over and over again.
But then you get
all the while randoms are coming into your chat going, wow, you fell off. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And you have to deal with, you just have to live with I know my content is good.
Yeah.
I'm proud of my content.
Yeah.
These people don't know anything about anything.
Yep.
I think that kind of confidence is so hard when you're by yourself and you're seeing reaction to it and like people just not watching it, not clicking on it and being like, but I think it's good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there are really
sure.
those people, like, imagine, every one of those like sad, romantic comedies or whatever, where the guy is always like, he's doing a thing that nobody gives a fuck about. And he's like convinced himself that he's like, I'm just gonna stick to it, and he really does need the whole like, you really shouldn't.
Yeah,
You're actually a failure, and whatever it is in this thing, you should actually move on. Whatever. And you have to convince yourself like, no, I'm not that cliche.
Yeah.
The stuff I'm doing is actually good, even though for some reason the algorithm doesn't pick it up, right?
Yeah.
Like, you need to basically have the confidence to say, I know it's good,
For sure.
even if the algorithm doesn't, and even if you don't think it is.
And that's how you get Moist Critical shouting you out. I was so happy. Man. I was so freaking psyched when I saw that.
That's so tight.
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're a little over 2 hours here. We don't want to take up too much of your time. Dude, this
I
has
have to go
been
shovel.
Oh.
Dude, the plow came by, so it's just all ice. Like it's a
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, it's bad. So I'm gonna go deal with that before I have dinner.
Yikers.
Yo, thanks for coming by, buddy.
Dude,
thanks for having me, you guys. Thank you. I'll come on anytime.
100%.
Anytime you guys need me, I'm here.
Real quick, where can the people find you?
Yeah, so OnlyFans, I'm Geeksay. Yeah, I'm just Geeksay everywhere, except for Twitter. I'm Geeksay with an extra H, but that's GeeKseh. Get it? Because I'm Canadian.
Yep.
Geeksay. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I stream on Twitch 4 days a week. I'm trying to do more YouTube and stuff. The other days and trying to get some content out for you guys. Right now, I'm in a weird place, but I think we're gonna start really streamlining stuff soon and. I'm just gonna have to lose sleep for a little bit, like do that sacrifice time, so I don't mind that as long as I'm happy to do it. And to be honest, like right now, Tarkov's like really getting my juices going. So I'm like, I got this idea and I want to do this guide and help you guys out here. So come by, hang out. I'm always there. We are a pretty amazing community.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. 100%. Yeah. You gotta like capitalize on that moment when those juices are flowing. I feel you, where it's like, it's like, I don't want to do the grind when I don't want to be doing it. And then when something happens and you're like, okay, I feel it. Now's the time. Like I'm going to start pumping out content. Yeah. So yeah, if you're watching this or listening to this, definitely go check out Geeks. Super, super. Thank you so much for coming on. And as a reminder, if you like content like this and you want more of it, patreon.com/thepodcastpod. Go check that out and you can see our PP. And you guys are the best. Thank you for hanging. And we will definitely see y'all on the next one.
Get the f out of here, you filthy animal.
Yeah!